Boom! That's wrong. Hey everyone, welcome to Go Live, the Saturday evening talk show. And yes, look at this the returning panel. What a saucy panel. Every Saturday we deliver the dankest sauce. And guess what? The sauciest guest of ours is Luke, because he loves swimming sauce, right? He loves saucy takes. He loves controversy. He's an ardent viewer of the sauce. He just loves console warring. This is what he told me in the green room.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us. We're going to get saucy in the chat before we introduce our guest, although I kind of semi-done that already. Let me introduce the man. Asa, I've literally, what is that behind you? I've just clocked something. Is that the G?
Don't look right now. Don't look right now though. It's not quite set because I forgot to sort out some of that background mess.
Shout out to Dodge Life for sorting that out. Getting lit in your little studio. How you doing, man?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I've had a busy week swapping over from YouTube to Twitch for all of my live stuff, playing loads of games, having loads of fun, and now it's Saturday, so we get our show with these two returning guests that I know can chat well, so it's going to be a good one.
Yeah. You know what? These two guests, and you mentioned this in the green room, is surprising. I for some reason thought you, Josh, and you, Luke, had already been on the show together, but you haven't, and it's going to be really good synergy. It's going to be really good synergy. And you may not have caught our previous shows with either of you gents on there. So let's see how it works. I'm sure the chemistry will be off the charts, ladies and gentlemen. But joining us again is a lovely gent, more PlayStation centric and incredible channel, Quest Mode Games. Josh, how you doing? Welcome back, sir.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk games. Whether it's PlayStation, Xbox, I'm always excited to be on the show, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on. Last time you were on, was that with David Springate from Codemasters?
Yeah. So
that was been a while.
It has been. Yeah, you did ask me to be on previously, but I had some plans, so I couldn't make it. But I always appreciate it when you ask me, man. And hopefully I have some sauce. You know, I'm not the sauciest guy, but I save it up for the show.
You have an abundance of sauce. You wouldn't be here if you didn't have sauce. Anyone who's on our show has sauce, so you definitely have it. You definitely have the sauce, man. Thank you so much for coming. I can't believe it's been so long. And yes, I do hound people constantly on DMs and on emails to come on the show. I'm that annoying guy. I'm like, hey, and they just
not annoying at all. No, man, not at all. It's always appreciated.
Luke, a little bit annoying.
No, come on.
But last but certainly not least is Luke, aka Insipid Ghosts, the anti-sauce to my sauce. How are you doing, Mr. Vanilla?
Oh my goodness, it is a pleasure to be here, back on GameOnDaily. I appreciate the invitation. I have reluctantly had to turn it down just due to scheduling over the last few weeks, and it's been an incredible last few weeks, right, of just gaming news and sauce everywhere you look. But I'm so glad to get to be back here. Josh, I was just, I know we were saying before, I have not had a chance to cross paths with you, so I'm ecstatic to have met you as well. Asa, it's great to see you again, man. Gents, I'm just thrilled to be here. Good to hang out with you guys and have a good old weekend talking games.
Likewise, man.
Gaz is now framey on my screen.
Yeah.
He called me vanilla. This is punishment.
I think I'm back. This is punishment. I was literally all I heard was robotics. So I hope you said good stuff.
I sounded great. Let me just tell you.
Take over, Asa.
Take over. You're having technical difficulties. Okay.
Take over, Asa.
I'm sorry. Guess doesn't know. We can still see him. But
I am lagging, Asa. You might want to take over.
It's all good. You sort yourself out and come back when you can, and we'll just crack straight on with some topics. So, who remembers what the first topic was? We're going to talk about all of the things that have been going on this week.
Something or other.
Yeah, we can go on to Ghost of Tsushima, was it? So we've had, obviously, E3 was the previous week. There was a whole load of news, a whole load of things going on, and we'll touch on some of that a bit later on. Things have been a bit quieter in the following week. The first story that we'll have a look at, I know you two are both familiar with this, but there's been some strong rumours of what they're terming an expandalone game from Sony, an expansion of Ghost of Tsushima, standalone expansion called Ghost of Ishikima. I can't remember what it is. Anyone remember? Luke, you got it?
I have no idea what the name is.
It is Akishima though, and it's a pretty solid rumor, and people are fairly sure that it's coming to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. So let's go nice and easy. Have either of you two wonderful guests played Ghost of Tsushima?
Oh yeah, it was. It wasn't one of my games of the year last year. I played it. I know it was on a lot of people's list for game of the year. I had kind of like open world fatigue from playing a lot of open world games last year, but one of the most beautiful games I've ever played, hands down. And I played it on the PS4. I haven't even checked out the PS5 version. And what Sucker Punch did with that world was amazing. The new ways they approached exploration was great. So yeah, I love the game. And this is exciting news. I hadn't heard the expandalone term. That's kind of cool. But I like what Sony did with Lost Legacy. That's actually my favorite Uncharted game. And what they did with Miles Morales. The older we get, the less time we have. So these kind of shorter experiences, I welcome them. I don't know how others feel. When I was younger and I had to like save up my money for one game, I don't know if I would have thought this was as cool, but I'm down.
It's interesting you say that about shorter experiences. I'm exactly the same on that. Luke, did you play Tsushima as well?
I did play Ghost of Tsushima. I didn't stick with it, and that is my own fault. Right when I just finished God of War, Days Gone, and one other Sony exclusive, like back to back, I was ready for not a third-person action game, and Ghost unfortunately launched right there. But one thing was clear is the quality of that game is bar none just impressive, and so I really like the strategy that Sony seems to be employing since Uncharted 4 of doing these expandalone, which is a great term, type games for some of their heavy hitters. And the length of time that I spent in Miles Morales was fantastic. I love Miles Morales and I love Spider-Man PS4, now PS5. It's awesome to see that they're really diving into this philosophy because I think there's a genuine market for it and players want it. And if players are wanting it and they're fulfilling it, that's what's up.
So you're the second person. Me being the first. I've met myself. You're the second person I've met that didn't stick with Tsushima and isn't like. So Josh also said it wasn't his game of the year as well. I played Tsushima and it got me chasing some foxes around, and it felt like a Ubisoft game, and that was enough for me to back away from it. So I am kind of interested in Ikishima. The chat's confirmed for us that is what it's called. I'm kind of interested in it. Gaz is stuttering around, slowly drinking his coffee. He might be back in a second, but it's all good. We don't need you, Gaz. It's going smooth.
Yes, you know what happened? Kater plugged in his electric bike and it just killed everything. Am I back to normal?
You are not back to normal.
You sound
okay.
Fine.
Okay, sound fine. Okay, that's fine. That's important. Hear my sound of my voice.
It was very entertaining watching you, though, while you were whatever you were doing.
That's true.
Having a midlife crisis. Oh, man. Sorry.
So we're talking. So Gaz, I'll pull you in the same way as them. So did you play Ghost of Tsushima? What did you think of it?
I have played it, and you know me, I'm not a big fan of these open world Ubisoft games, but Ghost of Tsushima took me by Ghost of Tsushima, I think it's pronounced. Culture, hey? I might have got that wrong, actually.
So you can do that, but if I say that, it's not okay. That's the difference.
Why? I'm not Japanese, actually. Okay, maybe I've left. No, but Ghost of Tsushima is the correct pronunciation. I think. Kato, my friend, is Japanese. Is that correct? Ghost of Tsushima? In Japan. It's a place. How do you pronounce it? Tsushima. Tsushima. Okay, Tsushima, apparently. So I got it wrong. Okay, I got it wrong. Take away my lack of culture. But yeah, he doesn't count. He doesn't know anything. Even though he is Japanese. But I love that game. I loved Ghost of Tsushima. I don't like that kind of format normally. Just they seem really like, the Ubisoft formula. Here's a million icons on the map and do stuff. But I love the combat. I love the story. Tsushima. Oh, Tsushima. Okay, I can't pronounce that. But yeah. It's just shut up, guys. It's really good. It's a really good game. I'm really hyped for it. I haven't completed it because I'm in the middle of house moves, but It's such a good game. I know, Asa, you didn't like it. You didn't like the combat. Is it because of the stealth stuff?
It's not the combat, no. So the combat I actually liked well enough. I didn't find it revolutionary. People talk up the combat a lot. I didn't find it too different to any other game's combat where you look for an attack and you parry it and you counter. It seemed pretty just modern day combat to me. All context sensitive and all the rest of it. The thing that I didn't like was really just the Ubisoft elements of it. The number of things that it throws on the map that I didn't find that interesting to do.
It was overwhelming, as a lot of those games are. Like, I remember getting through the first area of the map. There are 3 areas, and I felt like I had played a full game once I got to the end of the first area, and I was like, man, there are 2 other full parts of this map to explore. I did get to the end of it, but again, not unlike Luke, I had just played a bunch of, you said you played Days Gone right before this. I'd just played Assassin's Creed Odyssey to completion, and so playing like another open world game was just not good timing, but I totally understand why people love this game. I do think it was interesting what they did with the samurai combat, how it really made me feel like, not to use that like cliche, but I felt like a samurai, whatever. How the battles would end within like 1 or 2 sword swipes. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was my friend Joseph Moran from the Trophy Room. He always gives me a hard time because I absolutely love the Arkham games, and a lot of the combat in Ghost is meant to be similar, but something about it didn't click with me. And I always feel that gamer guilt when a game that is very popular doesn't land with me. I don't know if you guys get that, but I always feel like I'm missing out, but simultaneously I don't really care to try to keep understanding it. But the idea, and this is really true, the idea of a shorter Ghost experience is more appealing to me. Like, 12-hour game that I might be able to knock out versus a 40-hour game. That to me is a little bit more doable and exciting and consumable for something that I'm not like dying for. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. You feel like guilt, like everyone else is enjoying it and I'm not there, and maybe I should. I think game like Prey, for instance, but then there's a kind of game like maybe if you some people say you have to go through the boring bits and then it becomes exciting, and I'm like, I don't know. But I mean,
and then there's the inverse of that too, like when you like a game that's not really all that popular, and then when you constantly have to defend the game that you like, which is silly. You should not have to do that. But those gamer guilts in both directions are always interesting as you go through, each year and game of the year discussions, etc. It's always just a fun little thing to track.
What's your gamer guilt and the other way around? That game that you enjoyed that you shouldn't have?
It was great. So at the very beginning of the show, everyone can get mad at me. I'm enjoying right now Marvel's Avengers.
Okay.
I really am liking it. They're doing a good bit to fix that game, and I'm hoping War for Wakanda is their Taken King, as it were. They're doing steps in the right direction, but it always feels like 1 forward, 2 back, 2 forward, 1 back, etc. But we'll see. That's just a good example. But there's lots of them out there that in either direction. I mean, games are awesome, and they're for everybody, and to like anything you like.
Yeah, absolutely. The Sip Army, I did not make fun of you for being excited for Scorn. Maybe I did actually in the previous show, but it's a weird game. You're a weird person. No, actually, I am excited for Scorn as well.
I was disappointed we didn't see Scorn at all in E3. I'm worried about that game now, and I am looking forward to that. It is weird, but
it's not. Cool. Yeah, that's a good point though. We didn't get to see that, and Xbox were flaunting the Xbox Game Pass thing. This would have been another one. So that's a bit weird. I'm a bit. Me and Colt were talking about this, and he was also saying, like, why didn't they show that game? And it's one of those that you might end up being not so great. What about you, Josh? What's your guilty pleasure? If you say The Order 1886, I'm kicking you out.
No, recently it was Biomutant. I loved Biomutant.
Good example.
I actually made like a tips video for my YouTube channel. So I got that game pre-release, which was awesome. And I played it not knowing what anybody else was thinking about it. And I was talking to my friend before all the reviews came out, and I was like, I have a feeling this game is going to be one of the most polarizing games. I was wrong. It was just pretty much kind of meh across the board, but I loved it. It was scratched kind of the opposite of Ghost of Tsushima. And I actually had the open world itch, and it totally scratched it. And I loved the combat in that game. I did feel like the main quest line was pretty actually kind of lame, but if you do the side content in that game, which there's a ton of, I thought it was great.
It's funny how
it'll be on like my top 10 games of the year if things keep up. Yeah.
it's one of those games where, to me, in trying Biomutant, didn't start off very well, and then so I stopped. I put it down, and since they've patched it, the opening is a lot more consumable and easier to get into, which is a testament to the game. And I like hearing that the developers are working to take in player feedback for the better. And I think a lot of people will discover this game over the next 2 and 3 years and find that, like, oh, this is a gem. This is what you would call a gem. Remember digging through back in the days of GameStop, you would dig through the sale bin and pull it out and be like, oh, this is a gem. I think Biomutant fits that bill really well. And cheers to them. That team was ambitious in what they tried to do, and they nailed a lot of what they tried to do.
It's a 20-person team, and if you play that game knowing that 20 people made that world, it's actually pretty unbelievable. I'd recommend it. I definitely check out the reviews for most people, but if you see it on sale and you just want like a fun open world game with a lot of charm, I would definitely check it out.
There you go, guys. Don't always listen to Metacritic scores. Make up your own mind, because you'll get a lot of games like that don't scratch your itch. Asa, sorry, let me just catch up with these super chats. You hadn't read Gunstar's one while I was lagging away.
I have not. I'm a terrible host. Thank goodness you're back.
You can take over after I have read these super chats. Gunstar, £2 super chat. Thank you so much. Shall I read this? I'm so excited. I sourced in my lederhosen. Yes. I'm glad you feel that way. He also called me short a little while ago, which is true. Dodge and I thank you so much for the £5 super chat. Asa, I love you. Move your beautiful head so you can get lead poisoning from that amazing thing that he's built for us. But shout out to Dodge Knight. He has made our sign there and Asa's sign there with lead. So we will die for your pleasure. Thank you so much, man. Smoke SHO. Thank you so much for the $2 Canadian. He says, do you guys use Microsoft Rewards? Great program. I never get to do it because it's like, I don't know. It's like I feel like I'm missing out.
You are. It's easy money, guys. Easy money. Really and truly.
I thought it was just a grind just to get like 1 penny or something.
I don't see it that way. If you just tie it into the Game Pass rewards, the quests or whatnot, I open the Game Pass app once a day and just hit turn in. And it builds up real quick. Okay. I mean, it's easy, free money, and anybody that's an Xbox gamer, which I would imagine a lot of listeners are. It was a program instituted when they were trying to catch up to PlayStation in those early, like 2017, 2018 window where PlayStation was just on fire and they were doing anything they could to get attention. And the program stuck around, and it's easy money. I get $5 and $10 and $20 pretty regularly from it. So worth looking into if you're an Xbox gamer. You know, my hope for that, I don't use it actively. My hope is that it's just like working in the background. So one day I'll log on to Xbox Rewards and it'll say, "Oh, you've been using like Microsoft Reward points for 20 years. You've got £8 million." Hopefully that's how it works. I saw somebody in chat, I think it was Soulstar, was saying it's like Nintendo Gold points on steroids. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it rewards engagement. So like you can get those little quests for getting an achievement in a game, for logging in on the app or doing a Bing search, which I'm sure 6 or 7 people have done today. And so it's a good program for Xbox gamers. Maybe check it out if you are primarily an Xbox person.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Bing isn't so bad. I use it for like images, their image filter stuff, because Google got rid of the search by dimensions, 1920 by 1080 or whatever. It's really good. It's really fast. But that's the only time I use it. But yeah, good shout out to the 6 people using Bing out there.
That's right. That's sauce for you.
It is sauce. You know what? Bing is actually really good, just like Mixer, and I feel like those two are going to just die not die because Microsoft's behind it. Well, Mixer died, but it's just like it doesn't get enough credit because Microsoft's behind it. But Mixer was so good. Like I watched the E3, everything was at 1080, really crappy bit rate. But if it was on Mixer, like we were spoiled. It was like 4K at the time. Shout out to Mixer, rest in peace. Hopefully it replaces. Asa, ever talk about the guilty pleasures? You play weird games. You're a weird person. What do you like? That's
what do I like?
Think that's the weird one?
No, I don't really understand.
People would say that
feeling
was like
guilty
the weird
about it
one.
though.
Yeah.
So I play loads of games. So you tell me, which ones should I feel guilty about?
Well, The Order 1886. I always pick on that game because I just had this thing.
So you're literally like.
I think it's on sale right now for like $6,
which is
$6
too much.
is a good price for it.
That's like $1 an hour at the best. I did play that. That's definitely not a game that I play regularly, or that I particularly like. It was alright, I suppose. I'm not guilty for playing it. It's a short adventure.
What's a guilty pleasure?
I mean, I suppose I should feel guilty about VR. Is that?
It depends on what you're doing with it.
I knew you'd say that. I absolutely knew you'd say that, and I should. No, but in terms of if there is any guilt there, it is in terms of like expense to hours is not a good ratio. So if I feel guilty about any gaming, I guess it would be like I've put a lot into VR. I've got a load of space for it, and maybe I feel guilty that I don't play it enough. Does that count?
Oh, kind of. It's an ASA answer, that's for sure. Because
who feels guilty for playing games? Do any of you in the chat? Do you feel guilty for any games that you play? I mean, like maybe some hentai stuff, but normal games, real games. Does anybody feel guilty for playing games?
Hentai stuff.
What are you playing in VR, Asa? I'm curious. I have a Quest. I don't use it nearly enough, but if you have any recommendations, I'd be interested.
Oh, for the Quest, so I'm more into PC VR, and my go-to at the moment, I'm still working through Half-Life Alyx and Walking Dead Saints and Sinners are brilliant, but I could also spend, the reason that I've got a Skyrim posted there is I could spend like the rest of my life in Skyrim VR with the mods. There's not much on the horizon for VR that's particularly exciting, which is sad, but there's a catalogue of games that will last me forever, so I'm not disappointed with it.
I've often had to apologize for liking games like Anthem or Crackdown 3 or Avengers or whatnot, and that's an interesting thing because it's like you like those games. It's not like you only like those games, right? I'm still playing all my heavy hitters next to it, but that gamer guilt, it can be a nagging sensation. And if you, God help anybody that puts their gamer guilt on Twitter, you know?
Oh yeah, then you're out for the taking right there. But that's how you got to. Sometimes you got to be a little bit.
We'll just say for Luke's sake, though, so the Avengers game, I think it was broadly accepted that the campaign was good when it came out and the service elements were not good. From Square Enix's show at E3, I thought Avengers was the best thing in their whole showcase. The Wakanda
not a hard thing to do, fairly, to be fair. But yeah, and I think it could have shown better because it is supposed to be their Destiny taking king, right? Like they're supposed to recover the game. There's a lot that they've done and a lot they've got going for it right now. And the problem is I'm not sure they're very good at communicating some of those good things. So for players like myself who are in the know and following Reddit and stuff like that, there really is a lot of great stuff there for endgame players and for high-level content. But getting it out there and sharing it with people is kind of the issue. Now, that said, the campaign was its strongest suit at launch. It looks like they're following that same track for Wakanda and Black Panther, which is a very powerful character. That has a lot of pull for a lot of people. And then they've given an update for the Spider-Man community on PlayStation that it's on track and looking to launch this year as well. And they're contractually obligated to hit that with content. So it will never be Insomniac Spider-Man quality. It just can't be because you're diversifying your roster and whatnot. But here's hoping it lands well because those devs, more than most AAA teams in this window, they released right around pandemic time. And then they were work from home. And it would take 40 hours to download a build to work on it. You got to think that's just tough. That's just got to be difficult. So I hope they get some wins.
It's crazy. I own that game, and I forget that I own it. Like I have this whole Avengers world that I could jump into at any time, and it actually sounds appealing when I think of it like that. But yeah, I wasn't too hot on the gameplay when it launched. It
launched not well, and I would argue it's gotten better. But for anyone that's like on the fence, just wait till Wakanda. Just really and truly, just wait. So.
Yeah, they're going to have a hard time though. So even if they turn the game around, they're going to have a hard time turning the PR around though, because you noted like the last set of updates that they did, the messaging around slowing down the leveling was the only thing. As somebody that doesn't play it, the only element that jumped out and was reported on was that they were making it more grindy. So messaging is against them, whatever they do.
PR is so important to big games and so often overlooked, and it's very frustrating to watch good games or teams that are working hard have bad PR. Just, tangentially, Randy Pitchford needs to hush because he's just damaging Borderlands. Like, just knock it off. That poor Borderlands crew is working so hard to deliver. And that man opens his mouth and it's like, oh, we're back to zero.
He's the comic book villain. Anything he says now, he's going to be coming off for us. Why is he there? He should get someone else to do the PR because anything he says just automatically by default makes me angry.
Yeah,
Just because
same.
the alien colonial marines still rubbing deep in my veins.
Same.
So I'm curious, Luke, since you are a fan of the Avengers, what did you think of the Guardians of the Galaxy reveal? And if you guys have talked about this on the show previously, we don't need to dwell on it, but I'm curious.
So in the moment, I was not thrilled with Square Enix's show at all. And so I think that really brought down my vibe for what I did see from Guardians. And then I went to Twitterverse, and more people were high on that game than I was, for sure. I was seeing loading screens for some reason in a showcase. I was seeing them fighting Jello globs, and I was like, this is not thrilling to me. The idea of a single player game is appealing, but a single player game within a team of superheroes is a bit odd. It's like playing X-Men, but you're only playing a Cyclops or Wolverine. It'd be weird.
Yeah.
So very mixed. And I mean, Square Enix will not get a pre-order dollar from me at all. I will really wait and see, but I hope for the best. I know a lot of people were very high on it, and Guardians is a franchise that more and more over the years I'm finding a lot of people like, and I was just not aware of that, you know?
Yeah. I love
What'd
the
you
movies, and I thought that the writing seemed awesome. Like, if they nail the tone and the humor, I think that'll go a long way for that game. But I did think the combat looked, I'm not sure that what I saw there was something that could sustain. I mean, they did show a lot of gameplay. There was like 10 to 12 minutes or something. And I'm not sure that can sustain a full campaign or not. If it's just like, you're controlling Star-Lord, it looks like you can issue commands to your other Guardians to do stuff. But yeah, it looked kind of like button mashy, hack and slash, beat 'em up style, which is not my cup of tea. But hopefully the writing, like I said, holds up. And if so, then the story, I think, would be worth experiencing. Because the movies are awesome, and mostly it's just because that hilarious writing. I think it was James Gunn that wrote those movies, and he's really good.
Yeah.
They have the same kind of issue as Crystal Dynamics had with the Avengers, though, in that these are established characters and they're doing their take on them. That is very, very close to what people recognize from the well-established movies, to the point that it looks like a cosplay version. And it's
a problem.
It does.
And you know, it's funny because the MCU skins came out in Avengers, and most of them look great. Most of them look great, and there's a lot of hype around that. And you have to think, like, for that team, they had to establish their own take on those characters. They looked like the knockoff versions, which is not fair, you know. But we all expect and want MCU because it's just such a hype train thing. So they were in a catch-22, rocking a hard place on that one. Yeah. And I don't envy that position, but I surely did buy some of those skins. So maybe I'm part of the problem. And we're almost as bad as a Nintendo player, you know?
It's not even though, like, it's not so much the skins though, because they can do skins, but the voice actors, everyone's so familiar with the actors that are playing these characters. And the voice actors that they got in Avengers, most of them are really good. But they're not Robert Downey Jr. like everybody is expecting. So it's a problem that they've not really got an answer for, and there isn't an answer for it. They can only make a good game and hope for the best, but it's not necessarily going to be enough.
Isn't it? It's a tough one. You know, that reminds me of that voice actor who voiced Pirates of the Caribbean, who sounds exactly like Johnny Depp. That's one way to do it. Sound like someone who sounds exactly like the guys in the movie.
Oh yeah, Miles thought that was Johnny Depp.
I was convinced it was Johnny Depp.
It was good. Yeah, he did good.
Really good. Shout out to the voice actor there. Let me read these super chats. Fat Boy Horror. Okay, we're talking about rewards. He says he hasn't paid for Game Pass for 6 months. And he's paid up until October because of rewards. Source.
Nice.
Wait, you can pay for Game Pass with this rewards? I did not know that.
It's just money.
Oh, damn. Okay,
That's crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah.
So many games for free right there.
Yeah, exactly. He is actually getting it for free, which is crazy. That's mad. I've paid up for Game Pass for like 3 years now because of some deal that I just jumped on. But I will definitely look into that 100% now. Max City, thank you so much for the $5 super chat, man. He says, I bought a Seagate 1TB expandable SSD for my Series X with my Xbox reward points. What? You buy hardware? What?
It's just money, dude.
It's just actual money. Okay. I am so behind the curve. I feel like I'm using an Internet Explorer or Bing. You earn points pretty quickly. It's a pretty dope feature. That's crazy. So surely they're gonna get rid of that if people are getting stuff for free. He bought a 1TB expandable SSD. Okay, all right. I'm definitely interested. Doverkin, thanks so much for the $2 super chat, because I feel guilty for going back to Skyrim every time. Don't feel guilty. Everyone goes back to Skyrim every time. You're in good company, especially with how many times they release these games. They release these games all the time. But yeah, gents, we have not. I know E3's gone, but just very, very quickly, because I'm really intrigued to know what Josh. What was your take on the E3 show?
Just in general, I wasn't. A lot of people seemed really down on E3 this year. I wasn't too down on it. I thought combined with Jeff Keighley's show and everything, we got a lot. I thought we got to see a lot of stuff. I'm currently working on a video for my channel of like all the games that are releasing that actually have release dates for the next year or for the next 6 months up until 2022. And there's a lot of them, and a lot of them we got information on at E3. So I felt satiated, I guess you could say. But I do think that some shows were just excessive, didn't need to be there. I mean, the Capcom show was ridiculous. I can see why the Square Enix show was disappointing to some people, but I thought, seeing Guardians of the Galaxy and what is the Final Fantasy game, Strangers of Paradise, I thought was interesting. Those were things I was expecting and looking forward to. I thought the Xbox show was great. I thought Nintendo's show was, it was enough. So yeah, I was into it, but I particularly thought Xbox did a great job, which seems like most people agree with that. That was one of my most hyped E3 showcases in years, and I thought they delivered. I was just really happy. I seeing Forza Horizon 5, I thought was one of the highlights of all of E3 for me. So, and then Elden Ring, I'm really getting into the Souls games lately, and so I was excited to see that. Yeah, I didn't think it was a bad show. I do look forward to whenever it's actually a live event again in person. I hope that it is one day. Yeah. And if that's the case and everything seems safe, I'll definitely be headed to E3 next.
Oh, we'll see each other.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. Like, I get to meet all these people. Like, I've basically, my YouTube channel has kind of grown to what it is over the pandemic. So I haven't met anybody that I've...
wow. Yeah. You've grown tremendously, so it'd be good to see like people they recognize you as well, because that'd be amazing. I'll probably get punched in the face, but at least you'll get some hugs. So that's definitely. What about you, Luke? What was your general take on E3? How are you taking
I was generally rather high on it. My expectations were low, to be very clear. They were low because in 2020, that the dragged out Summer Game Fest, E3-esque type things, I thought I wanted that. I thought I wanted weeks of gaming news to talk about. In actuality, I was exhausted by it, and it became just too much. And so to have it all condensed into roughly a week, I was really excited about. That said, I loved, admittedly, it sounds like I'm talking about the home team, but Xbox nailed it. They nailed it 3 times in that pre-E3 showcase where their executives, including like Microsoft execs like Satya Nadella, talking about, hey, we're behind gaming. This is what we're doing for the future. And then to have their show proper combined with Bethesda be very well paced and put a ton of good things on display. And then to do all the deep dives that you might have in years past gotten during an Xbox proper show, they put those in the Showcase Extended, which was a great place for them. They hit it out the park 3 times. So I was really happy. And on a personal note, and I purposely wore this hoodie, Halo Infinite, for its 4th reveal, did a really good job. I thought there was a lot of promise in that Halo Infinite showcase. We got to reintroduce players to it. We got to demonstrate why they delayed it by a year, which was absolutely the right choice and a brave one at that, to not launch the console with it. And it looks great. Joseph Staten seems to have the team there. So I was most high on 2 things, I think. First would be Halo Infinite. The second would be how they worked Bethesda content into their own showcase, and it felt natural. And it wasn't just Starfield as well. And so that was good vibes, good feels. It was nice to have a win as an Xbox guy, because PlayStation has been just crushing it. Maybe not in E3 showcases, but this was just a great vibe all around. A lot of good energy for Microsoft and Xbox. And it felt to me kind of like it probably did to a PlayStation gamer and Josh, help me out. I think it was the 2016 showcase where they just had hit after hit after hit.
Whichever
it was
one they
cool.
showed God of War at was
right. That's the one. Yeah, exactly. And so I was real high on E3. I thought they handled it quite well.
Yeah, man. Like, it's good as an Xbox game. It's fun again. Good Xbox showing. Although I love PlayStation shows. Just feel more, I don't know, just impactful. But this is the one. This is the one.
Yeah.
Where, Josh, do you think they kind of like brought it back, like or level par with PlayStation shows, or how did you feel?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of their shows, I think that Xbox is right there with PlayStation, and maybe even with what they did with the Xbox Extended, I think they kind of one-upped PlayStation a bit.
Yeah.
So, and I think that with all the studio, I think we've talked about it on the past show I was on, with all the studios they have, I think they're set up to surpass PlayStation in terms of at least the number of games they release. Whether they're as good as PlayStation's, we have yet to see, but I think Bethesda's will be, and some of their other studios I think are capable. So I think Xbox is they're making all the best decisions right now. They're I think doing better than PlayStation in the PR department. I see no reason why, if things don't keep going, that this generation might end with Xbox ahead of the game a little bit. I don't know if they'll sell more Xboxes, but that's not what they're trying to do. So I think Xbox is doing fantastic. As a PlayStation gamer, I have no problem saying that. I'm super excited for Xbox gamers. I hope that in 2 or 3 years, I'm playing my Xbox more because their exclusives are games that I can't resist. So that's I think it's super exciting. Xbox is crushing it right now.
That's really, really interesting to hear from I say predominantly PlayStation. I know you play on all platforms, but it's good to get someone, because we get labeled with the Xbox because of me, because I'm such an idiot. But you get like a hard Xbox angle, but it's good to get like a
and the main reason I'm so into play, like I've played on PlayStation for literally decades, but the main reasons I stick with them are, it's like dumb stuff like the trophies. I have my trophy collection and I love watching that grow. Yeah. I'm familiar with the store and their sales and all that. So like those are the reasons I stick with PlayStation. It's not because necessarily the games. Like Xbox has tons of the games that I play, and if I was familiar with their ecosystem, or if I was into achievements, that's probably where I'd play. And I hear stuff like this rewards program. I'm like, I honestly, probably, practically speaking, should play more on my Xbox,
Well, I mean, it's business 101. It's more expensive to bring in a new customer than to keep existing ones. And Sony did a great job at building their customers, at the end of the PS3, start of PS4, and now they're keeping them and working on keeping them. And Microsoft had to spend a lot of money to get people to get into their ecosystem. And I, for one, love it. I mean, jokes aside, guys, this sauce between the two are so good for us, right? The more they compete, it's just a win left and right for us. Because if I'm getting God of War Ragnarok, if I'm getting Halo Infinite, if Starfield's a thing and the services are out there, like heck yes. And real talk, there's a lot. If you're just a PlayStation guy, there's a lot of good stuff there. If you're just an Xbox guy, a lot of good stuff there. You can now own just one and feel like you're getting a good amount of stuff for it. There's still better things to do in other places, but I mean, there's a lot of good stuff no matter where you are, and that's a cool feeling. Except for Stadia. Sorry.
In terms of that competition, though, if you want like real basic evidence of it, like a month or two back, Sony announced that they were going to increase their spending on their first-party output by like $182 million a year or something. That's a direct result of having competition now. That's money that they weren't intending to spend on games. So if you're just a PlayStation fan and you're scowling at Phil Spencer for buying ZeniMax, like you're getting some good out of it as well. So,
absolutely. And you're going to get more because Game Pass will be worrying for PlayStation. They will fire back somehow. PlayStation have they've registered for another event, so they're trademarked something, and they're going to do that. There are rumors of another acquisition, this time by Sony acquiring some studios. This is like...
Is it coming from the same people, guys, that said that there would be 38 different acquisitions for Xbox?
Oh my God. Luckily, I wasn't one of them, or was I? I did allude to Avalanche, though, because I think that's happening. I don't know. I figured out something. Insiders, this game, I'm not making that mistake of believing anyone ever again. ever, because it's just going to get egg on your face. Shout out to the 200 people plus watching. Smash that like button. We're about to get saucy. And yeah, you're right, Luke. You know, the Source is my particular take on it. It's like a theatrical thing, but the Source is for the discerning person who likes to get involved in the console wars but have fun with it. You can't escape it. It's human nature. Why just enjoy it?
It's true.
It, guys.
It's true. I got to stop fighting the tide, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Just enjoy it. No, Mokwama, he hates it, but he really secretly loves it. Shout out to Mo, Dr. Mo from Backlog Chronicles.
What's up,
and
Mo?
What's up, Mo, man? I hope you're good, brother. And speaking of competition, Guerrilla are working on an unannounced game that they've been working on since 2018. 2018. So, you know, there's so many things happening. You got a PlayStation event, got another studio acquisition, and you got Guerrilla, who are now considered, is it now? Josh, would you say they're now considered heavyweight because Horizon saved them?
I think since Horizon, they are maybe third in line behind Naughty Dog and Insomniac, and I think that they could kind of catch up to those two depending on how Forbidden West turns out. But yeah, I think that those are like the three premier first-party PlayStation developers, and you know, even Killzone, it never really kind of caught on, but I mean, those were quality games. I wasn't a huge fan of
Killzone 2.
Yeah, Killzone 2 really and 3 was also good. Shadowfall was, you know,
horrible,
kind of average,
but anyway, launch game, you know.
Yeah, launch game, yeah.
I've heard I think Colin Moriarty has speculated for some reason, I don't know if he knows anything, that it might be a Killzone game that they're working on. I think part of it is they might have hired some people for a multiplayer aspect of a game. So
okay. See, that's the weakness that PlayStation really needs to. Well, not weakness, comparatively. That's where it really wants to get its hooks sunk into the multiplayer meat of things, and it's tried for a couple of generations.
Yeah, well, there was. Yeah. Not to jump around too much, but wasn't there some news recently that Insomniac is hiring for a multiplayer only or a multiplayer project? I don't know if it's multiplayer only. So Insomniac is working potentially on something. Naughty Dog is doing their Last of Us thing, and then there was what was the studio that they just announced with the old Call of Duty guys? Can't remember. They announced it at E3. There's a new first-party PlayStation studio that just started, and it's basically ex Call of Duty devs. So yeah, they're gonna hit up the multiplayer space pretty hard.
Very interesting. See that this generation is gonna be, and also PlayStation has really released these big exclusives. Like, you know, we had Ratchet, it's huge. The game looks stunning. And then we're gonna get Horizon Forbidden West, and then you're gonna get God of War. And God of War, apparently, rumors suggesting that there's going to get a gameplay show at this event, whenever that happens.
Really?
That's going to be huge, yeah. Or was it insiders? I don't know.
Yeah, Nick, I mean, it would make sense. It's their biggest game of the next year or two, probably. So,
That would be
awesome.
That would be huge. God of War. Luke, does Xbox need a counter to God of War? Does it need a counter to a single-player, third-person, story-driven game? Does Xbox need one of those?
I don't know that it needs a one-to-one counter, but we would be foolish to suggest anything other than they need a high-quality AAA game on the level of God of War. God of War, in my mind, is the best video game ever made. I don't say that lightly. I am just in awe of that game's quality through and through. They need something for it, and they're quite aware of it, and that's why you see at the end of an Xbox showcase in 2021, they did a sizzle reel of all the stuff that's not been shown in that showcase. They talked about Perfect Dark. They mentioned Fable. They showcased what they've got coming with Indiana Jones. They know they need something on that level. So a direct comparative one-to-one, no, but it needs to be on that level, because Sony, for their part, they made God of War. They've done Spider-Man. They've got Ghost of Tsushima. Horizon has now become a franchise, and Microsoft doesn't have an answer to it in the same realm. Mind you, that they're apples and oranges. Like, you don't compare Halo Infinite to God of War and then pretend like those two Metacritic scores are even, right? Like, if one's a 90, one's an 85, who cares? They're doing different things, right?
Yeah.
But they need something on that caliber. For sure.
Someone in the chat said Hellblade. Do you think Hellblade 2 could be a comparative?
At the moment, it has the best chance of being that comparative thing, but it's further out than I thought it would be. I thought they'd be further along, but in their most recent, like, kind of quick little deep dive after the showcase, it kind of sounded like they're not as far along. You know, they're just now doing mocap and stuff. So, it certainly, you think it could be. You certainly think it could be. So we'll see. Yeah. That was my take.
By the way, sorry, I was just going to say, Big Clouds, the trophy room is here to boo you.
Oh, God. Let me tell you something.
Mav is doing the same.
It's ridiculous. This trophy room kid, these PlayStation kids, they're always checking out. I live rent-free in their heads. You want some sauce, guys? You want some sauce? Joseph Moran looks like he smells. I'm just saying. I'm saying it right there. Right there. Nah, that's one of my best friends, man. I love that kid. Through and through. We do cast co-op together. I don't know if anybody listens to that, but we do that with Ainsley Bowden. But while I'm here, boo Joe. Boo Joe. Boo. It's just the worst.
Yeah, boo. Yeah, I'm just going to join in on the. Sorry, so before we were berating.
I was just going to bring it back to Hellblade in general. So Hellblade as a competitor to God of War, Hellblade the first one was not that kind of game. So I thought it was exceptionally good as something slightly beyond gaming, in that its look at mental health issues and things was quite stunning. But it's, as a game, it was quite a difficult play. So I don't know what direction that studio should take Hellblade 2, because there's expectation that it will be their cinematic, their God of War. It's not really staying true to the roots of what the first one was. So, what do you think, Josh? What should Hellblade 2 be?
That's a tough question. So full disclosure, I actually haven't played the original, but like that studio is clearly going after like the highest possible visual fidelity and quality. It seems like that's one of their things, and I do think that sets them up for these expectations that it is going to be a amazing looking kind of AAA quality experience. But that studio didn't start as a AAA studio. They're one of those smaller studios that manages to put out an incredibly high quality product. But I do worry that if they haven't really staffed up a ton, like there's no way that amount of people can output a product like what Sony Santa Monica can. I don't know how many people work for Sony Santa Monica, but I imagine it's a lot bigger than it's Ninja Theory, right? I always get them confused with Team Ninja, but Ninja Theory. Anyway, so I think that they could set themselves up for some unrealistic expectations. That said, they do have Xbox money behind them now. So if that's what they're going for, financially speaking, I guess they could do something along those lines. But again, without playing it, knowing what that game was, that it was, it had a focus on mental health, and it was a kind of a smaller, more contained experience. For fans of the game, I would hope that they would somehow stay true to that, so they don't I don't think they would alienate the audience, but give fans of the original game something that they expect.
The first one did such a good job with sound design that if you have the chance to go back and dive in even for an hour, and you'll check that out. What are you doing, Gaz?
It's such a nice burger. I'm going to hide.
But I will say, it is most likely to me that we will see out of Ninja Theory Hellblade 2 push the Xbox Series X in a way that suits the power. That system is, on paper, I believe, more powerful than the PlayStation 5. I could give a flip. I do not care, right? Like, you look at what the magic of game makers do. It doesn't matter what system, right? But I feel like of any of the candidates anywhere, I would expect Ninja Theory to push that hardware hard. And I'm really excited to see what they can come up with, not just in visuals, but in sound design and in ways that all these fancy headsets people are rocking can take advantage of. It'll be really curious to see how they use that. Gaz, tell us to us right now. No, say something, Gaz. Anything, Gaz. It's your show. It's your show.
That's the perfect opportunity, Asa, for you to come in, but instead you watched me struggle as I munched on a burger for the first time.
That's what the audience wants.
I do think what Ninja Theory showed with Project Mara, like that kind of is what, if that's what they're going for in terms of visual fidelity. And if they can, you'd think that they would try to match it with audio too. I think that, technically speaking, Hellblade 2 could be something really special, and hopefully it is. I'm right there with you. I thought we'd see it at E3, but apparently they're still pretty early on.
So in terms of sound design, that was really important in the first game. That wasn't a slouch either, and I think that, Asa, you told me to watch that documentary and how important sound was to furthering that mental illness kind of learning and understanding. It was pretty important.
Yeah, so the first game has, like, it's quite well known for its sound design, but it uses, before it was popular, it uses spatial sound to kind of simulate Senua's thoughts within her own head, darting around you, saying all kinds of things. But it also, the documentary that you're talking about talks about why the puzzles are the way they are and what they represent in kind of like a mental health space. Why she's seeing these things in the environment around her. And those puzzles, a lot of people didn't enjoy them. I didn't enjoy them. They weren't that fun to execute. But when you get that extra understanding of why they are the way they are, then you kind of appreciate it more. I'm just not sure that it jives that well with the AAA expectations that people have for the sequel. I'm not sure if they'll be able to deliver the same as they were going for with the first Hellblade, if people are expecting God of War. But
that's the thing. But there's no reason why they can't. They're not. I don't know. This is a bit maybe not controversial, but I don't think they're excused for having poor gameplay mechanics, despite the fact that they want to relay. I mean, at the time, that may have been the best way or maximizing their skill set, but they are definitely, you know what I mean? It's just like, well, the burden is still on you to create something engaging, and if you're going to tackle something as serious mental illness, then maybe you're at the same time, whilst it's good that you're doing it, also have a double role of making sure it's good and to really get people to understand. We'll see. There was a saucy chat. There it is. Moby, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. He goes, talk about sauce. He goes, Hellblade 2 is going to make God of War look like garbage. Wow. Wow. Say something, guys. Someone say as I munch on this burger.
I don't know how you can. First of all, again, God of War looked incredible. So if Hellblade 2 is beyond that, then we're all in for a treat. Secondly, it's really cool that Mo has all this insider knowledge about just how good Hellblade 2 is, that it's going to do that. Thanks for that info, Mo, and the money. All right.
Yeah, I agree. I hope it does, because that means it's going to be the best looking video game ever. And that's always exciting that we're in for something like that. The one thing I will say is, like, they revealed, I believe, the Xbox Series X at the same time they revealed Hellblade 2. Wasn't it at the same show?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And what a cool reveal. That's
So like they kind of already set that game up to be one of the, if not the flagship Xbox Series X games. I have to imagine there were some discussions behind the scenes with Xbox and the development team saying, like, are you guys ready to be one of the flagship Xbox games? And, so I have to think that, they're pouring quite a bit of money into that project, and the expectations internally, I think, have got to be pretty high. But best looking game of all time. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right, because that conversation would have happened. They're saying, hey, you're leading the charge. You're going to be the first game to show off the Xbox Series X, which means you're the benchmark. And they showed it. This is in-game, although I have some questions about the in-engine assets, but
I always wonder about that.
Yeah, and especially with Hellblade 2, there's some bits like, where does it stop? Where does it start? Okay, people are going to go run through a fine-tooth comb. I think there's going to be ammo both sides on that, and there's going to be a bit of defense there. But you're absolutely right, and that they have shouldered that burden. Josh, what you were saying earlier on also resonated with me, in the sense that you're right about the comparative team sizes of God of War and Hellblade. Hellblade was a smaller studio. Now they got Microsoft money, and apparently they have been on a hiring spree. But that doesn't naturally mean that you're gonna start upping the quality. Well, you will, but there's a transitional period where you are growing, and there's a tricky thing about managing people. And this
trampolining.
There's a fireworks going on. It's really weird. Okay. I don't know why. Why? It's 26th of June. What's going on? Why are there fireworks? What the hell? That's well loud. But sorry, apologies. But yeah, I mean, I can't help it, man. This is
carry on.
But yeah, look, and this is the thing I want to say about Microsoft is the unknown quantity. Despite having all these studios, I have a lot more confidence in PlayStation Studios in hitting that quality bar than I have Xbox. Although I'm a lot more excited about Xbox this generation, I question whether there's a pressure, or they're feeling the pressure to deliver the kind of quality like PlayStation's internal studios will be, because there's so much there.
Can I answer that?
Absolutely. I was just setting up for you. Go for it. Go for it.
Well, I think you are 100% correct to feel that way. Yeah. Sony has a proven track record of high quality AAA games that Microsoft does not have through the Xbox One and PS4 generation. That said, I think you can be encouraged not just from the acquisitions, but from Microsoft's ability to stick with their products through the Xbox One generation. Think about Master Chief Collection, Sea of Thieves, State of Decay. All of those launched in states that I don't think they wanted to be in, and Microsoft doubled down when many would have been ready to jump ship. They doubled down, fixed hardware, fixed services, and now they're working on IP. They're committed and they're aware of the standards that are being set. You don't go out and buy Bethesda if you're not ready to have heavy hitters, right? But moreover, they're trying to make their own as well. And so I appreciate that, but I don't think you are wrong, nor is any gamer, to be hesitant or wondering whether or not Microsoft can deliver on that same quality. But do take into account that they also haven't been making the same types of games. Sea of Thieves just put up 20 million players at this point. That game is incredible, but if you reviewed it in a microcosm, it probably wouldn't have launched beyond a 6 or a 7. It had to grow into what it is now. And it's not meant to compare to your Ghost of Tsushima. And like, I'm excited for knowing all that, like what State of Decay 3 is going to be. State of Decay 2 is such an evolution from 1, and it grew over the course of its release. They've even released the most recent update is like about the Blood Plague, and it's just well beyond what you got when that game launched. So I'm encouraged to see where they're trying to take their franchises that are established as well. But I do not to anybody, this is to Gaz or anyone else, don't feel awkward about wondering that, because they have to prove to you. They have to prove to you that your dollar is meant to be spent with them. And Game Pass and services are how they're doing it at the moment. So.
Absolutely. Well said. Very well said there. Pixelbit, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Says this is the same studio that did Heavenly Sword. There seems to be a lot more focus on combat. He's right. They showed that on quite a bit. This I was reading up on how many hours. I forgot the lady's name. That she's grueling combat that she's been training. She could probably kill someone in real life now, but she's trained because of this video game. But that was the weakness in Hellblade 1, and I found that odd considering these are the guys who did Heavenly Sword. So hopefully they will rectify. I actually think it can do it. I think they can tackle the mental health thing, take it a lot further, enhance the combat, and with the power of the Series X, they can just immerse players a lot more. I'm hoping they do anyway. I have faith in one thing you saw from the extended event, Xbox event, and the documentary. I forgot the name, the chap's name. Sounds like an Iranian name. What's his name? I forgot.
Samo something.
I don't remember now. So it's annoying. They're oozing passion. They're oozing passion, and Xbox have injected them with the sauce to do more. It's really. This is why I'm so excited about Xbox's studios, particularly these studios. A lot of studios will struggle. They don't have to worry about. They haven't got this mental weight about your sustainability and worrying about whether they can keep the lights on, because they've got this thing now where they got almost. I imagine I haven't been there back, but they've said this in interviews. That they can now produce the best games possible. They would never been able to do it. And that's Tim Schafer saying that, man. That's everyone across the board saying that. So Hellblade 2 could be the God of War thing, Mo. You know, you may be right. It could make God of War look bad. I have some doubts about that. Erodimus, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. The fact that God of War is cross-gen, I was about to go into that. Sick guy. God of War is cross-gen and Hellblade 2 is next-gen only may give it advantage over God of War. And Josh, I want to get your take on God of War. When God of War got announced as cross-gen, I was loving it. At the same time, annoyed at Sony's little a little dancing with the truth. But Colin Moriarty, for instance, we mentioned him earlier in the show. He was really disappointed. Very similar to me. I was like, damn it, man. Why is this cross-gen? I don't like cross-gen games. But Aerodima says Hellblade might have an advantage in terms of looks. What do you think?
Yeah, I actually hadn't heard that Hellblade was confirmed as, a Series X and S exclusive. But if it is, then absolutely. I think that it will have an edge, potentially. Like, it depends on what the studios are capable of. But again, with what we've seen from Ninja Theory, I do think that it'll have a step up, again, potentially. I have never bought that this notion that games that are on both generations are not held back. I think that's perfectly honest. I think that's a load of crap.
Thank you.
So
I love you.
I think that if God of War was exclusively a PS5 game, yes, it would be able to do things that it won't be able to do if it's on PS4. That said, I don't think God of War is going to be a lesser video game because of it. I think it's going to be an amazing video game. But I think that eventually, whether it's 1 year out, 2 years out, we're going to start getting games that are doing stuff that you can't do on last gen. However, I also think that's going to be mostly stuff that you don't really notice. It's going to be stuff like world design, how they don't have to So one thing I noticed in The Last of Us Part 2 was how certain areas were partitioned off. Like Ellie would push she'd barricade a door and then you couldn't go to that area anymore because she barricaded it. Guarantee you that's because of the way that the level has to load, and they can't load the entire area at once because it's too big. The way I understand it, you wouldn't have to do that on a next gen console because you can stream levels more or less. So that's the type of stuff that I think we'll see in games. I don't think it's going to be necessarily visual fidelity. Like, maybe I'm wrong here, but when you look at God of War, if on a PlayStation 5, I'm not sure how much better games are going to look than that, to be perfectly honest. So
we talked about this earlier, didn't we, Asa, about this whole visual fidelity thing. And there's a lot of people saying, I was on RDX's show and he was grilling me for it. And he's right to a certain degree that, visuals can scale, physics and other things can't. Game design is catered for that. But you also mentioned something really good, Asa. I think that there's a lot more nuance, that there's additional physics, and the way physics meld with what you see on screen can equate to better visuals. No, it's not a straight
yeah, it can. So you're not when they ditch the previous generation of consoles, they're not suddenly going to give us like 8K resolution or something like that. It's not going to change the way that they can add reflections to the bonnet of a car, because those things do scale. But the example that's makes a lot of sense at the moment is Forza Horizon. So if you watch the Forza Horizon 5 gameplay, it's drop dead gorgeous. It looks like a photo most of the time. And the way that those cars interact with the world is a parallel for Forza Horizon 4. Like, you drive into some shrubs and some bushes or through a wall, and they might bump a little bit and they'll clip through the car. And they have to do that because it's a cross-gen game and you can't have physics interacting with the car differently when people are racing each other. But if you didn't have that previous gen version, if everything was on a next gen CPU and an SSD, then they could start to think how can we enhance the physics system in this game? And if those shrubs are deforming and getting caught in the tires, then your visuals are improved. So you're not scaling the graphics, but you're scaling all of these other details that play into what you're seeing on screen, and just make it more immersive. And that is arguably improving the visuals. And I think when Forza Horizon 6 comes out, people will go, oh yeah, actually.
Yeah.
And to be fair, there are other games. So other example that's good from the Xbox Showcase, if you saw the Stalker 2 trailer, looks absolutely incredible. A lot of the things that are in there could be scaled back, but there's this moment where they throw a grenade behind a crate, and as the crate shatters, the shards of wood disperse through the environment and shatter the other crates, and the physics and the momentum is just bursts through the scene. And it looks great, and it's physics driven, not scalable. So there are definitely things when you're going to get great games, and we've all been enjoying it. Everybody here has been enjoying it for many, many, many years. So it's not the case that previous gen is stopping games from being fun, but it's absolutely the case that when those ties are cut, they'll be able to do more.
Absolutely. Yeah, well said. Neil B, thanks so much for the $5 super because maybe a Clash of Titans type game to compete with God of War. I've been watching an anime that's really weird about gods versus humans on Netflix. It's a weird one, and it kind of reminds me of that. So yeah, actual titles would be pretty dang. Oh, they don't need to call it, like Luke said, not one-to-one copy. They just need to have a single-player game of that caliber. Slayer, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Slayer United, aka Stu Lindsay, thank you so much. Ninja Theory are the only studio that have come close to that of Naughty Dog. In terms of facial animations, great show, guys. Thank you so much for that. He's right.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And Ninja Theory did, particularly for the first one, for the first Hellblade, and in fact, you can go all the way back to Heavenly Sword as well. They were like, top of the game in terms of facial animation, and they've kept that going forwards to this day.
I will throw into that mix Kojima Productions. Death Stranding's facial animations were next level, like so good.
Oh god. How many burgers have you got, man?
The game wasn't as good as Naughty Dog's, but at least in my opinion. But Kojima, whatever they do on the production and just the production value of Death Stranding was super high. Absolutely. Whether you like the game or not, that's another story.
Josh, I have a question on that then. We mentioned the Order 1886, and I know that seems funny, but that game was going for more than gameplay, trying to look beautiful. That was its goal, and in many ways it succeeded at the expense of gameplay. I remember seeing a lamppost, and at the time it was just this most gorgeous, incredible lighting ever. Gameplay perhaps suffered for it. I have not played Death Stranding. It does not necessarily look like a game that I would want to play, though I find that I encounter a lot of people who, once they've played it, they swear by it. It looks to me like another situation where the game is going to be optically beautiful, facial animations perfect, lots of really good visuals, but it doesn't look like the gameplay is there. Is that your experience as well, or am I off base?
No, I don't think you're off base. That game is just acquired taste is the term that comes to mind. It's not for everyone. I actually really liked the experience, but so Death Stranding, the way I describe it to people, it's like I was like wondering, as I'm playing it, I'm wondering, why do I just keep playing this game? Because it was like it took me 45 hours to beat, which is really long for a game like that, and because it's pretty repetitive gameplay. But when I left that game, I couldn't stop thinking about going back to playing it, and it's because of the world that Kojima had built. It's a super interesting world, but the gameplay itself is super. To me, it was super repetitive. Like, you literally are walking from one place to the other. And that's like 80% of the gameplay. The other 20%, you are fighting with some people. You're like avoiding the BTs, as they're called, which is like a stealth aspect to the gameplay. But most of it is just literally just walking. So if that doesn't sound like something you would enjoy, maybe wait for that game to go on sale. It's on PC, so if you don't have a PlayStation, you can play it there. But it is on PC. Did it sell well?
Did it sell well?
I don't think so. No, I don't think it met the expectations.
Which might be the catalyst for Kojima coming to Xbox.
I think so, yeah. Especially given how, PlayStation kind of said they're going for the blockbusters. They're taking fewer risks. I think that it makes sense for Kojima to go with Xbox. But no, Luke, I think that the gameplay of Death Stranding is not what kept me interested in it. It's the story, even though it's a batshit crazy story from Kojima, like he's known for. It's I thought a way more grounded story than, say, in Metal Gear Solid 5. And the characters are really cool. And I will say the end of that game has one of the best like monologues I've ever heard in a video game. It's really interesting stuff.
It's a weird one because you get a lot of people play games and they're like, skip cutscene, skip cutscene, skip cutscene. And you get to Death Stranding and it's like, skip gameplay. Can we skip the gameplay?
Yeah.
That's exactly that summed up so well, because I was just about to say, when Josh, you were mentioning it earlier, I'm like, okay, they're definitely not playing that. But then you talk about the monologue and the story, and I'm like, I definitely want to play it now. And it's basically what Ace said: skip gameplay and go straight to the cutscene.
Yeah, the characters in that game are awesome, and a lot of the reason why I was so immersed is because the facial animations and the motion capture was great.
See, that's interesting. That's a Hideo Kojima thing, because when I played Metal Gear Solid 5, I thought one of the most overrated game of all time. Sorry, Luke. One of the most overrated games of all time. And one of the things I was actually looking out for was more story, because I love Metal Gear Solid 1 is one of my top 5 games of all time.
Me too.
And I think MGS 5 was one of the most overrated games of all time. I would give it a 6 out of 10.
I think the story in the Metal Gear Solid games, for me, it starts with Metal Gear Solid 1, amazing, and then 2, it's like great, and 3,
I agree.
4,
Yeah.
it continues to go downhill, and 5 was just like, I was like, come on, Kojima, you can do better than this.
4 was, I would say, the coolest, best story, but you would have no clue what was happening there if you didn't have 3 games worth of information. And that means that you can't onboard anybody into that game. You cannot say, go play Metal Gear 4. You just can't, because it would be just this disaster. And guys, I'm shocked at your statement about it being overrated in terms of gameplay. Like, the story was a mess.
If Kojima's name wasn't in there, I reckon it would have scored significantly lower.
I don't agree with that because of the stealth gameplay.
Yeah.
You just I watched UFC at least twice in my life. I'm ready.
Let's do it.
But I think that the stealth mechanics in Metal Gear 5 were special. And I actually think Kojima's antics hurt that game. Like, Quiet, just a hypersexualized character.
That's the only good thing about the game.
But it was distracting to what the game was, because all the articles were about Quiet.
Just the only thing I liked about the game was like, I'll wait for the cosplay out of this. That's one good thing that's come out of this game.
You got any more cheeseburgers there, guys? I'm just curious.
I got them cheeseburgers, man. No, I mean, I did complete it. I just think it's overrated and Quiet. Hey, man, I'm a guy. Simple man. But the gameplay, like, Kojima's, like, the silliness took it a bit too far, like, with the sheep and then the box. And I just, like, I can't take this seriously. And then they changed the level from the desert level to Africa, and it's just changed it from sand, like, the texture pack from, like, sand to green. And I'm like, it's the same thing. I want the story. This is what I know for. Metal Gear Solid, there's probably, I'll probably hold Metal Gear Solid 1, maybe Halo. No, Metal Gear Solid 1 is the game where I had more, like, emotion and care about a character. To I physically, it's going to sound so sad, but I was panicking. When Sniper Wolf was taking shots at Meryl, I didn't know what to do. I was like, going back, I go out, I'll get shot. I had so many times I got shot trying to get her, and then bandaging up or whatever it was, just a long time ago. And I panicked. And then I was like, what do I do? And I didn't want to leave her sight. And that's how much I cared about her. And you know, the sad thing is, this is how much of a loser I am. I let Meryl die, because in Metal Gear Solid 1, you get a torture scene and you have to bash the buttons really hard. I thought it was an impossible thing they set up, because clearly my wrist action isn't as good as I thought it was. And I failed the thing. And then my mate told me in school, oh man, like, I was like, Meryl died. Like, that's crazy. Like, he doesn't die. You just picked Otacon over Meryl because you can't actually do it. I was like, what? So in my head, I let Meryl die in real life. But, you know, that game, what I'm trying to say is the story was great. Story is great. And I'm more interested in Kojima coming to Xbox, not because I have any confidence in him delivering an incredible game. I'm not saying that he's a terrible dev. I just here for the source, just the fallout of Kojima and coming to Xbox. I will make such a big deal out of it because I'm such an idiot. I'm such a prick. But I will make a big deal out of it because it is a big deal. It's a huge deal. And then I'll pretend I liked Death Stranding even though I haven't played it. But yeah. Why are we talking about this? Oh yeah. Let me read the super chat. Sorry. Look at the super chat, man. Look at the name. Drunken Throat Punch, one legendary name, 5. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Certainly got a lot of great games, but now Microsoft is committed to go hard this time. Just look at all the acquisitions. I can't wait to play Stalker 2. Microsoft is going for the jugular, and they really are. I mean, you can't even argue it, to the point where the arguments have been propped up. This is a good kind of segue to one of my topics. So, was it last week or maybe the week before? I'm not sure. Starfield finally broke the tension. People thought Starfield, like, PlayStation is such a big platform, you cannot ignore it. Bethesda cannot ignore it. Starfield will come to PlayStation. People were so bold in their proclamations for this, which kind of took me by surprise, and I almost felt like, really? Bethesda can't. But guess what, man? Xbox is quite big enough because it's not coming to PlayStation, so it's not as big as you think it is. But the funny thing is, Pete Hines had to come out and apologize. Well, he did apologize, not like he was prompted to. I can't. He was his GameSpot interview, and he apologized. Said, "I'm sorry, PlayStation guys. I have to apologize. I know you're disappointed, and the game's coming out." And my view is, okay, I understand that, but at the same time, why are you apologizing? This is a new IP. You've just bought the studio. It's not like there's like bloody Spider-Man. Spider-Man? Did Insomniac apologize for that being exclusive to PlayStation? The Spider-Man, man. Don't even say it belongs to PlayStation because Spider-Man is. I've been playing Spider-Man for years on Sega and all that stuff. But Josh, you I hate. And a big disclaimer: every time I say PlayStation guy, I do it with a sense of guilt. You're not PlayStation guy. I know you're well-rounded.
It's totally cool. Like I play most games on my PlayStation, and I've been a PlayStation gamer forever. Yeah. Exactly.
So in that vein is what I'm saying. I don't feel like Xbox, PlayStation guy, but you're predominantly PlayStation guy, and I'm predominantly PC, funnily enough. But as a predominantly PlayStation guy, did that sting? Do you understand the salty tears and sodium that's pouring into these Sony fanboys, or is it a little bit silly?
So I understand it from the perspective of like when I think of, again, myself as a younger gamer when my budget was more limited. Not saying I'm rolling in money, but like you get older, you have some disposable income, you can buy both consoles. But if I only had a PlayStation and I couldn't afford an Xbox, I would be bummed. Totally. Yeah. I'd be bummed. Yeah. But I don't think I would be upset if I had like a pretty reasonable understanding of how business works. You know, this is just the way the world works. This is the world we live in. You know, it's pointless to get upset about it, in my opinion. But being disappointed, I totally get it. Like if you are a if you're one of those gamers who loves Skyrim or who loves Fallout, and you don't have an Xbox, or a PC, there's literally no way you can play those games. And yeah, that's a major bummer. And I think, you know, Pete Hines came out and said what he was apologizing for is just the fact that gamers were that bummed. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that matters, but he did say something like that. Yeah. He wasn't apologizing for making the business move, which wasn't his call to make anyways. I don't know, you know, who. He's not. Yeah. But I totally get it. I think it's fair to be disappointed, but to, you know, a point we were talking about earlier, these are the moves that are going to make video games in general better. It's going to bring more projects. More projects are going to exist because of moves like this. PlayStation is going to respond. You know, we were talking about what's the God of War on Xbox. Well, exactly. Counter that. What's the Elder Scrolls on PlayStation? There isn't one. You know, so it's good for gaming in general, but in the short term, there's some gamers who are going to miss out. But what is PlayStation going to answer with? It'll be something.
Yeah, it will be something. But for now, PlayStation fanboys, you asked for this. Xbox has no games. Xbox has no studios. Xbox has no exclusives. And now you're sitting there pork begging for Starfield. I love it. Slather me up in the sauce.
The one game that I think is interesting, I heard another podcaster talking about this, that they're wondering if it's going to show up on PlayStation. I would be shocked if it did, is Indiana Jones. I guess some people think that because that's a Disney IP, Disney can pull their weight and say, no, we want this on all platforms. But I still think Xbox is going to be like, no, this is an Xbox exclusive.
I think you're right to say that, because we've seen Disney very quickly acclimate to Microsoft's business proposition. A lot of Game Pass deals, you know, like you get Disney Plus if you're on Game Pass, that kind of thing. But moreover, you have the Sea of Thieves stuff. Sea of Thieves is absolutely exclusive to PC and Xbox consoles. And then the Indiana Jones thing is also suggestive that they're building a relationship that is stronger than I would have initially thought a year ago, right? Yeah. When we first saw Indiana Jones, I would have been like, oh, cool. I would have entertained that multi-platform argument far more than I think I would now, particularly after this E3, where you see Sarah Bond standing next to a sign that is bigger than her that says Starfield is exclusive. It's like, all right, there you go.
They said it, and yes, it's exclusive. Got the big fat words in there. Exclusive. Microsoft. Asa, see, I said this, Asa, didn't I? I said it would be the smart move. Microsoft understand me. It's probably exclusive because of me, or because of me, because I kept saying it to make it exclusive. Not because I'm a petty fanboy, maybe, but because Luke's eyes are like, oh my god. But yeah, no. Big disclaimer here, like, let's forget the disclaimer. No, it's good. I don't care. I was actually kind of annoyed. I was like, no. You don't get. In a way, I was kind of loving it. I was loving it. I was loving the Fallout, and it's there. And now this is narrative. Xbox is Microsoft's oligarchy. I don't know what it's trying to do. It's destroying gaming. But when you're right, Josh, if there's Indiana Jones is there, it's gonna cause a Fallout. If Hideo Kojima comes, it's gonna cause another Fallout. When Elder Scrolls is not on PlayStation, pray for my heart rate. The Source video is gonna be so.
Yeah, like I think
I'm gonna kill everyone.
I think Skyrim sold, and this is years ago. I heard this like 30 million copies. I mean, that's just ridiculous, you know.
That's mad. Skyrim is bigger. Elder Scrolls is bigger than Halo. Apparently, I've heard.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Maybe not.
So.
Maybe not 10 or 15 years ago, but I would say nowadays. I actually wonder if Halo 5 or if Halo Infinite isn't up to expectations. I wonder when the next Halo game will be. You know, a game.
It's a 10-year game.
That's it.
I think that's a fair question to ask because Halo 5 definitely disappointed. For all the things it did right, the campaign didn't land, and there was no soul in that game.
There's no soul in that game. That's deep.
That's true. I mean, you play through the missions, and like Bad Bit and I played through the mission. We did every Halo game last year, thinking that Infinite was going to come out last year, right? So we did all of them over summer, and Halo 5 is the most technically impressive in terms of combat mechanics, but it doesn't feel like Halo. There was no music in the right spots. It didn't have that magic that you get from Master Chief Cortana. And Josh is right to think, where's Halo going to go? Because as a diehard Halo fan, I mean, like, there's statues all around me if I angle it. Yeah, nice it's all back there. But I mean, people like me can't live on just the books and Halo Wars. You need a mainstream proper flagship Halo title, and they are absolutely going all out. They've got battle passes that never expire, that free multiplayer, a campaign that is meant to be a platform that will pave the way for non-Master Chief stories, but they're going out of the way to say that this first one is a Master Chief story. They've been putting a Master Chief story on all of their books, hardcover and paperback, on the cover, just right there, a Master Chief story. They are desperately trying to get him back into mainstream. For God's sakes, they put him in Fortnite, which you may get like balk at, but that's exactly what you need to do.
Yeah.
Talk to all the people that are don't listen to shows like us, right? That are made by guys our age, that are made by or played by people that are 10 and 11 and 12. They need Halo to hit for them too. So they're pulling out all the stops, and if Halo misses, it's gone for a long time. A long time.
I actually think that if I think Halo Infinite is going to hit, but if it misses, I actually think 343 might be done with Halo, to be honest.
Done with Halo for a while until they get the comeback. But I agree with you. They don't they don't tank the studio because the studio's talented. They just put them on a different project.
Yeah. No, I pray. I have a very good feeling about Halo Infinite now. Post E3, I'm very confident. But if it doesn't hit, that's a 10-year project, they say, right? The 10-year Halo Infinite is going to be supported for.
Yeah, I think the free to play is what it might be. That's huge. Yeah, turning that into a platform that can exist long after the initial bump from the game's release could. I don't know.
Astronomical. But potentially, if that game hits and the multiplayer looks stellar, if that hits and it's free to play. I don't think we've seen anything of this scale. Halo is a big game. It made the Xbox. That game's multiplayer, which is strongest component, is free to play. And the quality looks amazing. I mean, this is Xbox are really going out their way. We forget about it, but it's a huge move, a monumental move. They're really going for it. Better be good. RG Viper X, thank you so much for the $10 super chat, man. Very generous of users. Love you guys. Shouldn't the Xbox players create a petition to get Spider-Man and God of War on Xbox? Source. I think it's only fair since they want Xbox games, but I thought Xbox didn't have. Thank you. this is that fanboy stuff, right? But I navigate in these murky, dark waters that Asa doesn't bother dipping his toes into because it's fun for me. And I echo your sentiment. Only in terms of the general nature of it, not that I want to sign a petition to God of War, is exactly what Josh, you were saying. This is going to actually spearhead development because of the competition in counters for Elder Scrolls, no matter how you do that, God knows what, or God of War. It's really good competition. The fanboy war gets really silly very quickly, but that's why we subscribe to the source. It's just the right takes on it. Hoggy Chani, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Don't get the argument of not being able to afford getting an Xbox now, as Game Pass makes it affordable versus paying $60 for a game. Also, Josh, I wanted to add, you can actually also, with xCloud, I know it's not ideal, there's still an option there, isn't it, with Game Pass being there?
Totally. That's a super fair point that I totally missed. Yeah, you don't have to have an Xbox or a PC to play these games necessarily, and you don't have to if you stream. Correct me if I'm wrong, but can you use xCloud on does that have to be a tablet or a phone?
You can.
Or could you have like a Chromebook and somehow play these games on that?
Asa, did you want this one? Go for it.
No, I don't actually know what the situation is with browsers at the moment. It's not specific to tablets. They're adding it to TV at a firmware level. Like, it'd just be shipped with probably Samsung and LG TVs. They're going to do sticks that you can plug into pretty much anything. But as for a Chromebook and the browser-based stuff, I don't know if it's there yet. I've not actually touched it.
I think it is. I tried it on my Surface Pro, I think. Yeah,
browser-based is on its way, and they're looking at getting the old Xbox One's series, Xbox One S and X's to have xCloud as well. So there's a lot of methods to get to people outside of just buying the console, and that's smart. It's just smart.
And that's how they tackled their forward. Because I always wondered about forward compatibility. If you remember last year, they were talking about forward compatibility. I thought it's got to be cloud because how it doesn't make sense otherwise. And that's what they're doing. Flight Simulator on your old Xbox One being streamed. It's pretty crazy. It's a pretty crazy thing.
Did you guys see Pixelbit in chat? It can run on a Chromebook and even works on a Tesla browser via a workaround. That's the future right there. Be like, hold up, we about to go on the car ride. Let me get one match in. Yeah. One more, guys.
Self-driving thing is actually working because that's going to lead to a lot of lawsuits otherwise. Be careful there. What they want to talk to you guys about is Redfall. Redfall is getting a lot of press for a game that hasn't actually shown any gameplay. And I'm noticing Microsoft are going really heavy on the advertising. Like, I go on YouTube, I see a Redfall ad all the time. If you type in Redfall, ladies and gents in chat, you're probably on YouTube, you'll see an ad at the top, most likely, because that's what I saw this morning. I'm working on a video. That's weird. And they're also, Starfield, they showed some in-engine. We'll talk about Starfield in a bit. But Redfall, Luke, they're going pretty heavy and they're taking it seriously, spending some good money advertising it already for a game that's coming summer 2022. What are your thoughts on Redfall? Are you excited? Should we be excited for CGI showing? Tell us what you think, sir.
Lot to break down in that, and I want to get to the CGI part second, if you don't mind.
Sure.
They're going hard on Redfall really for the right reasons, in that they want to ensure those that are at Bethesda that they're going to be treated well. They want Bethesda to know that now that you're under our umbrella, we're going to promote your stuff. It's Arcane, whose stuff, I believe it's Arcane, whose Dishonored franchise, critically well received, but just didn't land with the masses. Didn't get the sales numbers that they perhaps would have wanted. Prey, I think you could argue that same thing. So they wanted to show Bethesda and those within Bethesda, not just the studio execs, but like the people working on games, that they're going to be supported, which is awesome. They also needed to show gamers that Bethesda was more than just Starfield. They didn't buy it for Starfield, and that's an important thing to do as well. And as for why it's out everywhere, they've got this gorgeous animation with a character of color on screen that's going to generate and flow really well for a lot of different reasons. 99% of them perfect, and I think it's awesome. There's a lot to celebrate in the way they showcased Redfall. Not to mention the fact that it's vampires, not zombies, and not werewolves, which we've had a lot of. which is interesting. Now, as for the fact that it was CGI and whether or not that's a good thing or not, in a different year, I would have been a bit more downtrodden on that because there was a lot of CGI in our showcase, but it was promises of the future, something that Sony, in fact, does a very good job of. They'll sell you games 3-4 years out based on some CGI stuff. In this showcase, we saw gameplay of what was relevant within this year. Halo, Ascent, Psychonauts. I mean, gosh, if I had the list in front of me, it's really long. Like all the stuff that's coming to Game Pass this year. It caught me off guard.
20 games.
Yeah, Forza, Flight Simulator, etc. But for CGI stuff that's a few years out, I don't mind proof of concept stuff at this point. If it was coming out this holiday, I would be very concerned about the amount of CGI.
Yeah.
But I recognize why people are asking that question. I just don't take. I'm not bothered by it in a way that I would be if they didn't have other stuff to show. So that's why that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. It is they are advertising it, which is I find a little bit strange. Not strange, like concerning or anything. It's like, okay, but at the same time, it kind of makes me kind of hopeful that they're quite confident in advertising this quite strongly. Maybe something is hyping me up in the works. Ace is playing the trailer right now on stream. I really love the not the main character, the chick with the umbrella thing. The character designs in this are really good, and I hope they tackle the player classes really well. Josh, what did you think about the Redfall trailer? Do you think it's okay to be excited by CGI? Do you need to see a little bit more before you get hyped?
Well, I think in this case, I'm definitely excited, and I would encourage people to get excited because Arcane is one of those studios that just doesn't seem to miss. They make good games, and that seems to be all they make. But like Luke said, they for some reason haven't been huge commercial successes. So I'm really excited to see Microsoft putting them in the spotlight. And despite the fact that neither Dishonored game really, or I guess either of the 3 Dishonored games really sold all that well from what I know. I don't know exactly what the numbers are. And Prey, I don't think hit the way they wanted. And honestly, I'm concerned about Deathloop not really finding a big audience. I think Deathloop looks great.
Amazing.
So, point I'm trying to make here is despite all that, they gave Arcane the spotlight. They were the one more thing on their show, which is huge for them. So they clearly have a lot of faith in this game. I have a lot of faith in Arcane as a studio. I think this game is going to be great. My biggest question is, and as a CGI trailer, these are the conversations that I think are going to continue to happen and continue to keep this game in the conversation. Is it a lot of people are speculating that it might be kind of like a Left 4 Dead, like a 4-player co-op experience, even though I think they said in the trailer that it's an open, or in the showcase that it's an open world game. Yeah. But like, what is it? I'm really curious just to see what it is. And I like having those conversations, speculating. I don't want to speculate for 2 years what this game is going to be like, but apparently we won't have to if they meet their date. So no, I'm fine with being excited about this game. If it is a multiplayer focused experience, it probably won't be, my most anticipated game of next year, but I know a lot of people should like it. And I second what Luke said about vampires, not zombies. I'm done with zombies, man.
So yeah, I mean, it's wearing thin with me. I was like, I was quite happy, and I also really like from the CGI trailer, the vampire designs. They look really potent. These guys can go invisible and then chuck some weird. It's very inventive designs. What I'm trying to say. Shout out to Miles Dompier in the chat. Shout out to Christopher Hart, who is a PlayStation hardcore guy who loves going on Xbox shows and stirring the pot. I love that. Thank you, John.
Stir the pot.
Stir the pot. Hey, so what do you think about this whole thing about CGI stuff and reliance on
I don't take too much from a CGI trailer. Like I get the purpose, but Redfall in particular, I think we saw some news that it's been in development for 5 years already. So if I had a choice, I'd much rather see gameplay. I'd take a lot more from gameplay than I can ever take from a CGI trailer. It's interesting that you mentioned the adverts for it. It's not just Redfall. I've seen YouTube adverts for Starfield as well, and it's not just Microsoft. So I'm assuming that someone somewhere has some spreadsheets that give pretty solid evidence that advertising games like 2 years in advance has some value. But it's strange to me, and I'm not sure who they're targeting. You see these adverts like, that looks cool. What am I going to do with that information? It's not out until the end of next year.
Is there a call to action? Like, you can't pre-order these games, I don't think, right?
I don't think there is. It's just completely awareness, no?
I'm sure it's just awareness. I'm personally like averse to clicking on adverts. So if there is a call to action, like it's like a magnet. I tried to click on it, the cursor would just be going, no, it's an advert. So I don't know.
This is why GameOnDaily has no ads. Hey, so let's plug this amazing website that we have built with no ads, pooling all the content all in one lovely place. Everyone can put their content in there. Why?
If you're not selling a sauce officially, I don't know what we're doing here. Right?
We need to make. I need to kind of start creating a little bit actual sources to sell. But then, knowing my luck, people will die. So maybe not. But yeah, no. I found that way. But I mean, jumping from Redfall to Starfield, another game that they've been advertising heavily. Some guy said on Twitter, and I was just laughing. I jumped to the source of this one. He goes, "Xbox is so desperate. They are advertising Starfield. Like apparently advertising games is really bad." Sony have been amazing at their marketing, and they've been, no matter where you go, it's like the episode of Futurama where in my head and when I'm sleeping, in my brain there's an advert for bloody Ratchet and Clank playing. It's like, come on, man, it's the business. I love it. www.gameondaily.com. If you haven't registered there, you're dead to me. No, just please register. It's this sexy site, but you can make up your own mind. But I want to talk about Starfield. Starfield, like we talked about CGI. We talked about CGI is okay, fine. I think everyone's been quite a pragmatic view on things here. But Starfield, not surprisingly, but pleasantly, was all entirely in game. So what that means is it's not using any cinematic tools to show you what is on screen. That's how the game supposedly will look and play. And I was very happy with that. Although it kind of looked like that. It was obvious, and then you question, right? Well, how much of it's curated, how much of it's cinematic, but it was not. And that seems like a step up to me from Bethesda's, traditional kind of quality, should I say? Because they do a lot with their games, but they visually, I don't know if maybe it's because of the setting or whatnot, but Fallout didn't look like a massive looker to me. But to me, Starfield hits all the right notes, man, in terms of tone, in terms of story, based on what they're going for, even though we know remarkably very little about the game. Josh, what are your takes on Starfield? Are you impressed by the visuals, by the way? Because PlayStation guys have a higher standard of visuals.
I mean, I did take a pretty close look at the trailer, and it's hard to kind of say because it's such a mellow trailer. It's like just there's no action in it really. But if you look at it, it is pretty high detail. Like, I don't know if you saw, there was like this shape. There's this shape on the paint. Like it was a I don't know what you would call it, a chip on the paint, and someone speculated that it was in the shape of the land that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to take place in, like that it was an Easter egg. Anyways, the point being, that was a story, but the point being is it's super high detail. Like they have chipped paint and it looks real, blah blah blah. And if this is in game or in engine, then that's exciting. That it does seem to be a step up in fidelity from Fallout 4, which I think was the studio's last game. So that's exciting. That said, I mentioned this earlier on the show, I'm always skeptical when studios say that this trailer is in engine, and a perfect example of that was the Battlefield 2042 reveal trailer, which was awesome, by the way. Like that action-packed trailer where they did the jumping out of the plane and stuff. That at the beginning of that trailer, I think there's a little disclaimer at the bottom that says something like in engine, but then when you watch the actual gameplay reveal, you can clearly see a difference. Huge difference. Yeah.
And they tried to cop out by showing you pre-alpha footage for the gameplay footage, which the game is coming out this year. Why are you showing pre-alpha? You're right there, Josh. You hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, so I am skeptical. That said, again, with the Starfield trailer being not having any action in it, not seeing, we only saw the interior environment of the spaceship, and then we saw the spaceship take off. I buy that that's in game. It looks like that's something that I could expect to see in 2022 for a gigantic budget first party game. Sure.
Yeah, that's good. What about your takes, Luke? Do you think it looks impressive? Are you actually hyped about Starfield? What do you think Starfield is?
I don't know. what it is. I don't think anyone knows what it is. I don't know that this trailer did anything to bring new fans in. Like, if you're excited about Starfield, chances are you were probably already excited about Starfield. I don't know that this trailer did anything for anybody as far as bringing new people on board into the hype. I don't care right now until I see something that shows me what I would be doing in the game. I dig all the details that they added in there. I know all of those buttons have a purpose in there. I know that they are taking their time in a way that they've not necessarily taken their time with games before. It makes sense because, I mean, what's the joke about Bethesda games? If there's not bugs, they're features. Well, I would imagine they do not want their first huge game under Xbox Game Studios to launch poorly. A lot of recent examples of that, Cyberpunk, Avengers, etc. So I'm hoping that whatever it is, it's good. But I do not care about Starfield. I didn't care before. I don't care after. And that says something to me. If I saw this major reveal of an exclusive and it didn't move the needle for me. But I'm not stressing it. It's not until November 11th, 2022. So I've got over a year for them to sway me on it. Cool, fine, nice. I'm glad to know it exists. They cleared up the exclusivity. They answered the major questions. Now it's a matter of what's the game.
Yeah, which is actually a big question. Gunstar says it's Skyrim in space. I hope it's not. Doesn't think it. Asa, you're nodding away. Is that what you think?
Definitely Skyrim in space, and I will not hear anything else. It'll have its own mechanics that you're not going to be casting the same spells in space. It's clearly a different setting, but it's going to be Skyrim in space. And they've set a tone in that trailer. And in terms of how technically impressive the in-engine stuff is, so I did a video on what was most technically impressive from the Xbox showcase, and Starfield was featured in there.
Yeah.
And I was glad to see after that a lot of people speculating that it's CGI. That is not CGI. That is exceptionally high quality in terms of all the techniques that people like to talk about in terms of ray tracing and global illumination and all these kind of things. That trailer packs in so much technology, but what it doesn't say is in-engine running on a Series X. So who knows what hardware is behind running all of those effects in parallel. If the game comes out looking like that with that level of fidelity, wow.
No, honestly, I have questions around that as well. And you just ruined my hype for it. It's not Skyrim in space. It's going to be like Interstellar, and it's going to be like 2001: A Space Odyssey, but like a video game. How does that work? I don't know, but just stop ruining it. No, they're going for a deep sci-fi vibe. I hope they create something like Elite Dangerous mixed with Interstellar. I think I don't know what it is. What is it? Why are we so hyped about it? But I was, Luke, you say something you were not hyped about. I'm the opposite. I'm really hyped about it, just by the notion of a deep sci-fi game. But
were you hyped before the trailer? Or did the trailer get you in? That's my bigger point, is that so the trailer got you then. Okay. So I'm glad to know that.
I was hyped about it because I was hearing murmurs about what it was supposed to be. I was like, I didn't care about it. I was like you are now. So I'm like, Skyrim, Bethesda. Why is everyone so hyped about it? There was a big question of mine, like, why does everyone care about it? They showed some leaked stills of the game, and that did nothing. If anything, it dampened my hype about it. But when I saw the tone of it, I'm big. This is a big disclaimer. I'm big sci-fi, and that's why I love the Halo books by Greg Bear, or Interstellar. These deep sci-fi games, deep sci-fi movies. I haven't seen a game do that. Elite Dangerous kind of got me in because of the vastness of space. It kind of just like it's mind-boggling, right?
What about Mass Effect?
Mass Effect. I'm playing Mass Effect right now, again, and I rarely ever go back to playing single-player games. And oh my god, I'm like addicted. I finished Mass Effect 1, back on Mass Effect 2. So let me just create my character and stop. Ended up playing 10 hours straight while I should be making a video. And that's why we've got 3 videos in the works right now for GameOnDaily. Apologies, I was playing Mass Effect 2. And yeah, Mass Effect is another one. Although that's more rooted in sci-fi, like Star Trek, Star Wars-ish kind of thing. It's a deep, realistic vibe. And I think they've said that they're going for a more grounded in reality-ish. Is what they've said. I forget the exact quote, but that is what they're going for. I do recall that.
I'm pretty sure the exact quote was, it's Skyrim in space.
Don't say that. Don't say. Is that you be sarcastic? Or I don't know. I think you'd be sarcastic. I'd be sarcastic. But the final topic to end the show is a bit of a saucy one. I think is it the final? Oh, we have gone past an hour and a half mark, but it's fun. I talk about it for another good 2 hours. But let's talk about Blue Box. If you haven't followed this absolute complete farce of how not to market your game, or maybe it is how to market a game. There's no such thing as bad publicity, right? Wrong, there is. And I think Blue Box are going to find themselves in the firing line. But then again, it's a smaller indie studio. Maybe this is good for them. Basically, long story short, I think it's an indie outfit called Blue Box. They're for some reason, they were jumping on this bandwagon, giving the impression that they're working on a Silent Hill reboot or something, a new Silent Hill game. But to top it off, to add more sauce to it, then they were saying it was bloody involved. Guess who, of all the people in the world, was involved with this Silent Hill game? Was bloody Hideo Kojima, of all people. And PlayStation fans were really happy. Josh was barely containing the sauce in his pants. And then ultimately, what happened was, I'm just kidding, but I have no idea what you think about this game. But basically, they had to come out. And the indie developer made a video. It's really awkward. It's really like kind of cringe, where they come in. I think it's something Hassan, what's his name? I forgot. They had to come on stage and say, Hassan Karaman said, "Look, it's not a Silent Hill game. Hideo Kojima is not involved. We have an app. It's been a really stressful week, but give us time." And my question is, what do you mean app? What? No one needs to see an app. Don't show me an app. Are you telling the truth? Are you lying? No. Oh, so it's not Silent Hill. It's not Metal Gear. And I saw Colin Moriarty take on it. He's featured today quite a lot in our conversations, although I don't agree with his political views. But he a very good point about this thing about you haven't put your best foot forward. What's going on? This is not the way to conduct yourself. It's my opinion. Sounds really harsh, but Josh, what do you think about this? Did you follow this whole?
Yeah, I mean, I followed it not super closely, but I am aware that there are. I think that there are some unfortunate coincidences that I can understand why some conspiracy theorists might connect the dots and think that this is a Kojima thing. I mean, and some of them were kind of dumb. Like didn't this guy put out a tweet, or the studio put out a tweet saying like, we are working on a game and it's the first letter is S and the last letter is L. Wasn't that one of the tweets? Like,
I think so.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, it was.
Like,
yeah.
I can't, like, if that's true and the game does start with an S and end with an L, I mean, okay.
I bet it will now. No matter if it didn't, they'll make it up.
I bet after people started making the connection that Silent Hill also, has those letters, he was probably like, "Fuck, why did I send that tweet? That was such a dumb thing to do."
Especially after they've already called it abandoned. It's going to be called like Sabandondle.
Yeah, so I didn't even think about that. Like, is abandoned like the code name for the game, or what's the deal? So anyway, and then his the guy's initials are KJ. I think is another coincidence. It's like, so I get why people are trying to connect the dots here, but yeah, I don't think that this is a Kojima game. I don't think it's Silent Hills. I do wonder if they can recover from this, if it might be good for the studio, because now we all know what Blue Box, or that we're talking about it, everybody's talking about it, they're on the map now. Now they just have to live up to the hype of whatever they put out there, has to be good. It reminds me a bit of Hello Games with their trailer back in the day for No Man's Sky. They were in over their head clearly, and hopefully the studio doesn't find themselves in that position. I hope they're working on something cool. And people aren't too pissed off when they realize that it's not Silent Hills.
Yeah, hopefully not. But yeah, well, then you just, like you said, they're on the map now, so maybe it works.
Yeah.
But for now, what do you think, Luke? As I was saying that, I think you know about it because you were shaking your head with such disappointment.
I mean, disappointment for him, Hassan, the gentleman who came out in those videos looking like he got run over by a truck and exhausted. And I mean, that poor guy, like, in over his head is an understatement. And absolutely in desperate need of some PR help. I think it started innocently enough. I mean, like, I would have some fun with that too at first. The problem is so many people got in on it and the expectations were not set. In the last 2 years, pre and during the pandemic, we've learned lessons about expectations being set by game studios and game execs. And when they're set clearly, disappointment is not the name of the game. But when they're not, that's when minds run rampant and people go nuts and then inevitably get let down. And the fallout from that letdown is what tends to hurt most studios, developers, etc. If I'm Sony, I am cease and desisting on this one. I'm putting out there, I'm like, hey, we're going to help you. You need to stop this. This is what you need to do. This is what you don't need to do. Because No Man's Sky was a very noticeable black eye at the time, not just for Hello Games, but for PlayStation. I mean, I pre-ordered that game. I bought into the sauce and the hype on that one. And I was there day one with No Man's Sky. Very disappointed, very frustrated. That game is sublime now. It's sublime, but it took so much to get where it wanted to go. Sony needs to learn from that lesson as well. And maybe they have, like, really and truly, maybe they have. It could be them that's standing behind the camera at the sign saying, say this right now. But Blue Block is there. I hate it for them because it sounds like it just got away from them in a way that I think we've all been at various points in our lives where we thought we were having fun with something and it just went awry, you know?
Yep.
So,
yep. Happens to all of us. Yeah. No, good luck to them. It's a bit of a shit show, but hopefully that gets sorted out for them. Asa, did you follow this through? What are your takes on it?
I have no takes on this. It's like rumors and speculation that I just go, I'll wait until there's some hard news for me. So that's not like great entertainment, but no, I haven't followed it really.
I find it entertaining. Let me read a super chat. Derek A, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Hey, good question. Why do you think Nintendo is not brought up in the console wars on social media? Why only with Sony and Microsoft? Well, actually,
I know the answer. It's because Nintendo make games for children and you have to be 13 to use social media. Done.
Dang.
And there's the answer. No, I don't think that's really correct. I think Nintendo, well, that is actually a solid point there. But Nintendo do get brought up in the console. I saw, apparently, according to Jason Schreier, Nintendo redeemed E3 for him. And Nintendo saved E3, apparently, to some publications. And Nintendo fans were there in the console wars, which boggles my mind because I thought, are you stupid? Nintendo's show was crap. Are you stupid? Are you stupid? Fight me. Jeff Grubb, I know you said it was great. Fight me. Don't fight me, but wear that Source shirt I sent you. But yeah, Nintendo's in its own lane though, Derek. And it just does its thing. And it's cool like that. It's like it's in its own lane. But it's a good point. But yeah, as Asa said, they're all 13. They don't have social media. Asa said that. And his social media handles Ace_GameOnDaily. You can send him threatening DMs there. Ace Out Gamer, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. The Starfield is only exclusive to the Xbox Series XS right now. I don't think it's coming to PC. So I'm pretty sure we saw the game is how it should look. I'd be very surprised if it's not coming to PC. I don't know where you're getting that from, ASAP.
No, it's coming to PC. Yeah.
I mean, Bethesda.
But yeah.
Bethesda's like a PC developer.
Yeah. I'll be very surprised. It's pretty sure it's coming to PC, man. And Stefan Selby says the PC is on the promotional stuff. So hopefully that's correct. But yeah, it's definitely coming to PC. I'll be shocked if it doesn't. There'll be a massive outcry here. Oh, well, ladies and gentlemen, we have gone to the 2-hour mark, which is always a sign of a good show. Which doesn't mean that
I want to know, before we end the show, I do want to know what people have been playing, because I want to talk more about games. So let's go Josh first. What have you been playing over the last week?
I started Neo randomly. Just it's been on my backlog. I mentioned earlier I've been kind of getting into the Souls games, and that's one that I've always been curious about. So yeah, I've been playing nothing but Neo. I think I'm like 30 hours into it, and I just read that the boss I just beat is like early on in the game, so I'll probably be playing this game for at least 70 hours. I mean, it's totally hooked me. I would if anybody out there is curious about the Souls genre, I would actually say this might be a good one to try. It is very difficult, but it's broken up into like smaller levels, unlike Dark Souls, which I found that world to be really overwhelming. And it's not quite as hard as Miyazaki's games. And if you do, it's like, so it's broken into these small levels. And if you do each of them, you don't have to do all of them, but if you do each of them, you're always slightly over leveled, which makes the bosses actually manageable. So I'm having a great time. If people haven't played Neo, it's also got a lot of Diablo influence. Like the loot system is very Diablo-esque. So if you like finding gear and leveling up your character, getting all the right armor and stats and stuff like that, it's good. But it's very deep. The combat's super deep. It's not a game that you can learn the mechanics of in one sitting. You really have to spend some time with it. But so that's what I'm playing. It's awesome.
Is this the World Ends With You one, or is this the? I think that's the sequel, isn't it?
So this is NIOH, the kind of
that now, yeah.
Where you are a samurai, even though you're a white dude, you are a samurai in the game, and you're in Japan fighting these like demons named yokai, and it's like a pretty much it is kind of like a hardcore Souls-like. So if you don't like a challenge, this isn't for you. But if you're curious about the genre and you haven't been able to get into it, this might be one to check out, but do expect to get your ass kicked at first. It is very hard, but I'm loving it.
As soon as you spelt it, as soon as you spelt it, I know the game that you mean. Aren't you playing? Isn't it a Scotsman or something? Despite not looking like a Scotsman, it's like based vaguely on some historical figure.
Yes, there is some. He's like. I want to say it might even be the same character as like the Tom Cruise movie, The Last Samurai. I don't know about that, but it is based off of some historical figure, some Englishman who went to Japan and became a samurai, I guess. But this is clearly very loosely based on that because there are like demons and spirit creatures that you have to battle. So
this looks really good. I've never heard of this before.
Oh, it's a PlayStation exclusive, so it kind of flew under the radar. But this is Team Ninja, who made the Ninja Gaiden games, and they are working on the new Final Fantasy game that was just revealed. They're the ones who make that. So
a horrible one. That looks like 2 gens old.
It did look bad, but I played the demo. It was actually pretty good. But anyway, Neo is a fantastic. I mean, it got like 9s, 9.5s.
This is Neo. Neo 2.
Well, I'm playing the original because I wanted to start at the beginning. But Neo 1 and Neo 2 are both on the PlayStation. They just released like the remastered versions for the PlayStation 5, but they charged $70 for the collection, which I thought was ridiculous. So I just picked up the original for PlayStation 4.
I played the demo.
Yeah, so
definitely wasn't like that.
The trailer that's playing at the moment is the original launch trailer from Neo on the PlayStation 4. I seem to recall the reviews for that were mostly positive, but that maybe the levels were a little bit dry and repetitive. But
they do repeat themselves. Like that, there's snow levels, there's like cave levels, there's a desert level. They do mix it up, but then when you get further in, they start repeating themselves, which is a bit of a bummer.
I don't like that, but I played the demo. It was frustrating me, but I was getting hooked into it. But it was the demo, and then I just gave up on it. It is a tough game. It is a tough game.
I
remember the demo.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
What about you, Luke? What have you been playing?
Well, thanks to Eric Jackson from the Gaming Perspective show, I've been playing a lot of Metro Exodus again, getting back into that since the Series X upgrade has just been. The game is just gorgeous game, and there's so much game there that I remember back when it was on Game Pass, I played it for hours and hours and then never finished it. So I've been back in on that one, having a good time, and then checking out the new Sea of Thieves content has been a joy. Been doing a lot of Halo 5 multiplayer, and kind of checking out the recent event in Avengers. So I've been enjoying my gaming time across a couple different games right now. It's been awesome.
Yeah, I saw your Halo 5 protecting the base.
Yeah,
man, Well done. I saw that.
I am not a highlight reel player. I don't get like the crazy things, but I can have some good runs. And Halo 5's multiplayer is so much better than it should be. Yeah.
It is. It really is. I need to get back on when I'm back on Xbox. Metro Exodus is playing. I've never played a Metro game, but I was in party chat with Dealer. Said like, you want to play a game that looks visually impressive, the Series X. This game looks amazing.
Oh yeah,
and it looks amazing. It looks amazing.
It's beautiful. And if any of the listeners saw Stalker 2 on the Xbox showcase and were excited, to me they have a similar vibe of the two. And Metro Exodus is the best of the series in that Metro trilogy. I'm anxious to check out the DLC. It gets difficult. The game gets tough. So I'm having a good old time there for sure.
It's also got like an open world vibe. It's not totally open world, but the levels are open world-ish, which I like way better than the first two. I loved Exodus.
Agreed. Wide linear, I think, Josh, is what they're calling. Is that right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just got to the point where I'm using a crossbow and having a blast. It's just a beautiful and stunning game, and not for the faint of heart. If you're a story person like me, it is a heavy, heavy game.
Oh yeah, okay, that's really good to know. I did not know that. I thought it was not gonna be. It would be light on the.
It's nothing like Doom, like no Doom Eternal running gun. It's very slow, methodical, a lot to tell you about. It's heavy.
That's sick. I need to play that. I'm looking very pixelated on screen. Get me off camera, yeah. But yeah, what have you been playing, Asa?
What have I been playing? I've been playing all kinds of stuff. I always play all kinds of stuff. I have been playing some Halo, the original one, Combat Evolved with JT. That's we did the library level, which is the worst level in that campaign, but still better than most games. Yeah. Bethesda dropped a bunch of games on Game Pass, so I've been having a go at The Evil Within 2. I played through so every Friday I do some horror games. I played through the Resident Evil remakes recently, 2 and 3. I played the first Evil Within. Evil Within is a step above Resident Evil in terms of horror. Just clicking through a trailer at the same time as I do this as the gameplay. But I've been enjoying that. So the Evil Within 2 on Game Pass, if you're looking for something to play and you have a stern bow, give it a go. It's maybe the wrong wording, but it is a fun game. It is
diarrhea-inducing game.
How would you compare
it is.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. How do you compare the first and the second Evil Within? I've never played either, but I've been curious about that series, and I don't know if I should just skip the first one.
You should not skip the first one, but the first one is a lot better on PC than it is on Xbox. So on Xbox, it was letterboxed, and I don't think it ever got Series X enhanced or anything like that. So it's still a good game. It's still worth playing. But if you can play it on PC, you can get around those old limitations and have a better experience with it. The second one does very directly play off of the story. So I would recommend doing 1 and then 2 if you can. And I would recommend them if you like horror games.
Much in this gameplay.
I smile when I'm scared. Only when I'm scared. That thing that was chasing me, that was a monster of epic proportions. And after playing the first one and dying so many times, I'm surprised that I survived that section. But it is a good game. Recommended.
Okay. Yeah, Evil Within 2. It looks really good. It looks really good.
I love
Bravo. Sorry, go ahead.
No, actually, you go ahead, guys.
I was just going to read a super chat, but.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to say I loved Resident Evil 8, and it kind of got my itch going for more horror. So.
Yeah, it's a great game. Love that game.
I haven't played Resident Evil 7 or 8. I'm going to dive in once.
Oh wow.
Blind. Yeah, because
7.
I'm moving back.
7 is Alien. And 8 is Aliens. They're both fantastic. You can debate which one's good, but one is more horror focused, one's a little more action focused. At least that's my take on it. I don't know what you guys think.
Well, the House Beneviento is my favorite level in any horror game I've ever played, hands down.
Really?
I loved that level. Yeah,
that's cool. That's real cool.
Yeah. Hey, so check out the super chat. Bravo 6 Entertainment. Thank you so much for the $5. He goes, just for Acer, squashing Nintendo out of the console wars. Acer's ruthless. Game on and keep up the great work. No source needed. Thank you so much for that super chat. But yeah, and I can't wait to get. I saw someone play Resident Evil 7. I imagine that's the scarier one, and the next game is the horror combat, more action-oriented one. But I will say this: whoever played that on VR, you have balls of steel. That game scared the crap. I was watching. I very rarely watch people play unless it's like competitive, like Shroud or someone and just being, or ACU playing Apex. But that I was hooked on, and kind of spoilerish because watching the game. But I was shocked at it's mad. It's like House of 1,000 Corpses in the video game, but really, really, really violent and just horrible. And but at the same time intriguing. I can't wait to play that. I will play that during the day because I'm a wuss. But yeah, interesting game choices from everyone. But yes. What have I been playing? I've been spending money on microtransactions on Apex Legends as I do. I'm trying to be good at ranked. I haven't got a full team. I'm supposed to be playing with someone from the community soon, but I want to be Apex Predator. And I promise you, if I ever become Apex Predator, which is the top rank in the game, I will release a rap video about being Apex Predator. Will it happen?
Oh, no.
No. So you'll probably you can rest in the knowledge that will never get made because Apex Predator on ACU is a boss. It's just amazing. I'm a multiplayer guy, which is a problem. Time, right? How do you get to play all these single player games when you're playing all this multiplayer? And that's the problem. To be good in these games, I have a problem with Battlefield 6 and Halo Infinite releasing so close because I want to be good. I'm quite competitive. It requires dedicating some time. Problem is time because Xbox has too many games.
Question for you on that: like, how many? I'm interested in Battlefield 2042. How much time do you think one would have to invest to get "quote unquote" good at a game like that?
All of it.
All of your time.
Like, I think of it as like like hundreds of hours is what I think of, but I don't know.
Obviously, you have a natural skill set in terms of your aiming ability and all that stuff.
I do not.
Okay, you don't. But it doesn't matter because game knowledge can actually assist you in making sure that you have come up trumps, even with someone who's got naturally good hand-eye coordination, good aiming. Especially in a game like Battlefield, where if you run the right squad with the right tactics, you can do. It's a very good question with Battlefield 2042 because you have to spend a lot of good time. If you play Battlefield, 3 or 4, the good players, there's the early release out if you pre-order it. A lot of people are crying about the price for it, justified. But I'm going to be a horrible person and pay extra to get it a week early because that will give me a competitive advantage over my opponents. Not because of this, just learning the familiarity with the map and all that stuff, but it's also the leveling system because you get access to better guns. Then you figure out which guns are the best, which attachments work the best, because there's so much in there.
Yeah, I'm clearly not a multiplayer guy. That's why I asked. But I thought the gameplay for Battlefield 2042 to me looks awesome. I'm interested.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing. I want to get more of the community, you guys, everyone in chat, all the guests, especially, just play more games together. It's good talking about games. I want to play Sea of Thieves with you and Miles and everyone. I want to play like a co-op game. Josh, I know last time we talked about you haven't really run through the Halo campaigns. Do a co-op. Yeah. We should do like a together just to see what your reactions. I'd be really intrigued to see how you enjoy it, whether it holds up to you.
Yeah, I have played the original, but I haven't played 2 on, so I'd be totally down before Infinite comes out.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Gaz has broken down why I don't play multiplayer shooters anymore. Yeah, time, man. It's all time, but I'm all about multiplayer. I just need to squeeze out the single player games. Gents, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. It's been a great chat, and I honestly thank you so much for coming on. You do have a lot of synergy. Lead the chemistry. Start your own show together. And there's one thing I really like about this, and it's all about the community. It's just amazing. People say the community is amazing, but no, it really is amazing because it's very life-changing, really, because everyone gets to meet everyone. And so we're really grateful for you coming on, dedicating all this time, spending a good 2.5 hours with us. Honestly, means a lot. And so the directness of my DMs belies how much I actually care about getting you on. It was like, how do I approach it? Now I just send memes or emojis, and you guys get the message. But thank you so much. Josh from Quest Mode Games, your channel has grown tremendously. Congratulations to that. I love your videos. Really, really well done, and just as a content creator, I know it takes a long time to make these videos, and your videos go into some ridiculous detail as well. Really good. Like, some people see top 6 and then they just churn out some stuff, which is fine. People are like that. Yours has a lot more meat to it than a lot of others. So well done on that. And thank you so much for joining us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for saying so. Yeah, if anybody out there wants to check out my content, it's Quest Mode is the name of the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Quest Mode. And yeah, I tend to focus on preview content. I may be switching that up. Like Gaz said, I grew a crazy amount last year, but this year it's kind of slowed down. So I'm trying to figure out, how can I...
It's YouTube. It's not just you. Trust me. It's YouTube across the board. I speak to Cult Dealer, everyone. It's just YouTube across the board. It's not just you.
It's weird. Anyways, check it out. But yeah, thanks for having me on the show. Really appreciate it. And Luke, it's been a pleasure getting to know you, meeting you. And this was a good time. Always is.
Thank you so much, honestly. And made the show. Definitely check out the Isla. Thank you so much for linking the content. There, do check it out. Really, really good content. Honestly, I'm not just saying that. And last but certainly not least is Luke, aka Insipid Ghost Man. You always have really good nuanced takes on everything. It's always good to have you on the show, man. And I hope you had a good time as well.
I had an absolute blast. Great to meet you, Josh. Absolute pleasure there. Asa, Gaz, always good to see you guys. And I appreciate you bearing with me as my schedule freed up. So thank you for sticking with me there. For anybody in chat, youtube.com/Xbox Expansion Pass or Xbox Expansion Pass on any of your podcast services. I do interviews with developers from all over the industry. The most recent one was the developers of the Anacrusis, which you guys might have seen from Summer Game Fest. That show, I didn't do as well as I was hoping. I'd love for you guys to check that one out. I'm 2 followers away from 200 on YouTube. And for having a static image with the podcast kind of just going over it, I'm pleased to see some people are checking it out there. And you can find me on Twitter @Insipid Ghost. My next episode will feature the developers of the Rift Breaker, which you might have played in the summer game demos. And guest host Danny Pena is joining me. So,
wow.
Yeah. And I've had guests that you guys might be familiar with as well. I mean, Miles Dampierre has frequented my show as well. Yeah, he's a pretty cool dude. Asa Green River. Yeah, I love having people from around the industry come and talk games. So please feel free to check out XEP.
A really, really good show. If it's a suggestion, I would say to invite us on a show. I know, but do more of it, man, because you're a really good host. Really good takes on it. It's just really good. And that's the stuff we do with Ains and BitCloud. You definitely need to get more exposure because it's just so good. But people in the chat know because they've listened to you all the time, and we get it a lot. People message me as well, like Lucas is great. Wish you all the best with it, man.
I appreciate it.
Invite the best. No, but I mean it honestly. Asa, do you want to do the outro? Oh, by the way, guys, I have a source video coming out. Early disclaimer: it's all in jest. Whoever it's based on, whichever publications it's based on, it's all in jest. Please remember that before you launch a campaign of hate against me on Twitter. But if you do, just know that I will weaponize it and make an even saucier video. But we have a really funny, risky, we do like to stretch it here, but that's the source. So we're not going to play it safe at GameOnDaily. And GameOnDaily.com is a news aggregation platform built for you guys. There's not enough people using it because we're still developing a lot of it. But look at it. Let's just go on the site. It's for you guys. It's to redress the balance of power and put it in the hands of lovely content creators that we have had the pleasure, honestly, the pleasure and honor of having on our show, like Josh and like it's made for you guys as well. If you want to be a journalist, just use it. It's so easy. Give you all the tools. It's not some kind of basic Game Pass thing. It's just it's a great website. Asa, do you want to do the outros before I put my foot in my mouth?
No, you didn't get blah blah blah. No, I've done it. You're doing good, Gaz. Yeah, no, I fully endorse these videos that Gaz is doing, which might be a terrible mistake, but it's done. We're there. We're in it together. It's fine. And like I said, yeah, check the website. The website is more than a website. It's really good. We do not do a very good job of explaining what our website is, what our platform is. We will improve that, but just check it out. There's a lot there in terms of community tools and engagement. It's a great place. It will be a great place as soon as we tell people how to use it. So check that out. YouTube channel and this show in particular, we are always trying to put on a good show. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Thank you everyone for coming along. We are also always trying to improve it. So if you have any feedback, any ideas, anything you want to see, drop us a message. Come and chat to me when I stream. I'm quite I will talk to you about topics, about games, about whatever is going on. It's a nice relaxed time. There's always people there. It's great. So thank you to both of our guests, to Luke and to Josh. They're always so welcome here. So good to have a conversation with. Gaz, when he's not got burgers in his face, has hosted marvelously. And we'll see you all next week. Ooh, no, I can't remember to end it.
need